don't remember, and I'm like, I was
yeah.
like, what is that? She's like, what do you think it is?
Yeah, nice.
Dumb and
I'd be
Dumber.
able to pick up on it real quick. Me and Stu are always, it's like Dumb and Dumber quotes daily for sure.
What happens is I watch so many movies, and sometimes like to shuffle through the catalog of quotes for movies.
You got like
It's
a
like,
blank stare.
I know, I gotta be
You got
like-
your Rolodex clicking.
Yeah, it's like, how many movies say that, and
Yeah.
where, and what part, and why is it funny? Yeah. I got it. It's like he's watched too many movies. It takes a while to register which movie it is. And I guess it's the benefit of like not being a cinephile is that you could watch like 10 like you watch other movies, but like there's like 10 movies in your life that you probably watch once a month.
Yeah.
And you could quote it every single day.
Yeah.
And I'll come across those cats that have watched those 10 movies, and then I won't know any quotes from them. They're like, I can't believe you haven't seen that. I'm like, I've seen so many things, and I don't want to play that game right now. Oh, you want to play you haven't seen?
Yeah. You name it, I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I am, actually.
I'll just start naming, like, do like, all right, well, do you like that? Well, have you seen any of these? And they'll be like, this is boring. I don't like this conversation anymore.
I'm bored now.
I'm bored now. I realized I was talking to a nerd, and that's not fun. I thought we were going to talk about football.
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 Okay, cool. We are live. If you want to,
Hey, what's up, everybody?
maybe we should do another post too, just like a
little post. We can also do a community post too. Hey guys, we're starting our live stream right now. We're setting everything up. We're about an hour behind, but this is our second time doing batch recordings here. We got Sam Hanus with us this time. She's going to be on camera. Sean's setting up some things behind camera. But yeah, just stay tuned. We're going to do what we did last time where we're just going to go through all of them on this live stream. You get a sneak peek watching it right now. Other things, if you're tuning in right now, because while we're setting up, is we're going to be doing memberships soon. We're working on Patreon stuff. We're just kind of grow in the direction we need to with the podcast. If you have any suggestions about things you'd like to see us speak about, talk about, see what knowledge we have, especially for cats like Sam that we're going to bring on. And also, if you're here today on our stream, put some stuff into the chat. We're going to be checking that periodically to answer some questions, especially in between our casts. Like last time, Sean and I were answering random questions y'all were pitching. Like I think we talked about the Scotts, Tony Scott versus Ridley Scott, and got into a conversation about that. So that's something exciting to look forward to. So bear with us during this time. We might be a little quiet getting set up, but then we're going to go right into it. Say hi, Sam.
Hi.
Hi. There you go. Yeah, so stay tuned, guys.
ready to start rolling.
Yeah, you ready to start rolling? Okay. So yeah, just a reminder for everybody, we're going to go through kind of how we kind of met in this one. Let's try to keep on that path a little bit, but it'll help us kind of hint to the other 3 episodes that we're probably going to speak about. And yeah, let's just kind of stem from there and see where that goes. And I'll be running time on this guy.
I'll just have that up so I can actually see
it come through.
I don't know why it's not popping up on the YouTube side of things.
It's not? Well, maybe remember we had to do like a refresher?
Yeah. I don't know. We're still relearning. Is that actually never?
Do you want me to log into
YouTube?
mine too to like just see if it's like running?
Yeah. I mean, you can. That just helps us with
Views.
viewers.
I
Yeah.
do it on my phone too. So you have two extra
Just like
ones.
live feed to live feed to live feed. Just like
Bring
showing it
both
to
your
the camera.
iPhones.
Bring your iPhones.
YouTube.
Keep it loose.
All right. Well, I guess I shouldn't have started recording now that we're not
Not quite
here.
And we're live. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I'm gonna go do something else for a
All
second.
right, hold on. Live this. Oh yeah, we just had to make sure that we're ready to go here. While we're here, how's everybody out there? Right on. Well, we'll get rolling here in just a second.
I'm gonna stop rolling.
Sean's gonna stop recording because every time we record, it's 6K. It's billions of trillions of terabytes of information. We basically have to set up a meta server site in order to run this camera. Getting served. All right.
Got it going over there too, just as a
Hey, where did
monitor over
where did
there.
you say that you booked our flights there?
United.
Okay. American Airlines just had a plane crash apparently. It's like, oh.
I saw
Hey! You ready, Sean?
Yeah, I'm just waiting.
All right, let's do it. Okay.
I'll just let you intro.
Okay, cool. Take a seat and I'll hit roll on this guy.
Yeah.
Audio's good.
Recording again.
We're recording again.
Oh, hey. You
Oh,
got
hey.
It's me.
It's back.
It's over
Bunk bed
there.
Coffin. Is that you?
Yeah. There you go.
Mine would be like Listo or something.
Cool. All right,
Just
here
got
we
it
go.
on over there. It looks like a
Here's this
10 to
for
20
everybody.
second delay or something.
Yeah, it's
It is. It's a
Normal.
little bit
see.
late. Cool. All right, here we go. We're gonna get right into this here. Well, hey everybody, welcome back to the Rat's Nest. Here we're sitting here today with Sam Hanus,
Hello.
and if you guys don't remember, I'm Jesse.
And I'm Sean.
Here, part of Nerd Rat Media. We do a lot of creative stuff, and we've been doing these podcasts to kind of talk to people that are doing creative stuff that we know, and kind of get into how we know each other. And that's kind of what we're going to get in today on bringing Sam on board. Just as a quick reminder on what we're trying to do, if you have any suggestions on what we'd like to talk about on this podcast, we're trying to focus on film-based commercial work sort of stuff that we're trying to do, which is going to lead into us doing, various interviews, various setups with these live feeds. And then on top of that, we're trying to create a way for you guys to have memberships, be able to see exclusive stuff. That's kind of the big goal here at the end of the day. Yeah, down the road. So, but without going into that too much, we are here with a special guest today, and let's talk about it. So, Sam, say hi, Sam. Yeah.
Hi.
We talked about her a whole bunch on a couple of these other podcasts, and she happened to be here this week, and we're going to get her on the cast here. And we just kind of want to talk about what you've been up to, what you do in this world, and how we've all kind of met each other, and how we're all kind of helping each other survive out there, So Sam, Sean and I started last time by talking about how we got into video and film. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it really comes down to the first time I was exposed to video production at the lowest level was in the 90s through home video cameras. My parents had, the home video camera and just filming the little kids growing up, like, hey, sing the ABCs, say something funny.
Was it a shoulder one, or was it like one of the smaller guys?
It was one of the smaller ones,
yeah.
but still about this big. The old
Yeah,
JVC.
Yeah.
home
What
videos.
was it recording onto at the time?
Tape.
Yeah.
Like the whatever they were
Tape,
about this big.
guys.
Yep, on tape. And there's video footage of me 2 or 3 years old where my mom's trying to get me to do something, and I'm like, can I look in there? I want to look in the eyepiece. I just was really drawn to, I don't know, I really like watching television and TV, and that was just like a tiny little TV inside of there, and I wanted to look at it.
Yeah.
So from the very beginning, I was kind of behind the camera, and I used to steal it and film other things like family Christmases and stuff. I just really liked it, and then bring it onto the VCR and editing on VCRs.
That's what I was going to
and-
ask. Yeah. What was the next steps in that process?
Yeah, I was obsessed with just our home videotapes, watching back Christmas. My family's kind of big and was really funny, and I just was entertained by our own family home videos and got into editing that way.
Nice.
On VCRs, and that translated into school projects in elementary and middle school.
Before you go into that too, did you make any films or anything with the like actual films, or was it just a lot of practice editing or anything like that?
Yeah, sometimes my sister and I and a friend of mine would just make like goofy movies. One of them was a horror film about these little keychains we used to get. They were like fuzzy little animals. We called it Fuzzy Buddies, but it was like a horror film. Like we kept finding them, and I don't know, stupid stuff.
Can you find any of your older stuff online?
Oh, I have it all.
Oh, see?
Well, it's not. Maybe it's not online, but I have it all digitized.
Okay.
I've spent the past couple of years digitizing all of our home videotapes,
Same, yeah.
so I have it a lot of it accessible.
Yeah, I think I might have seen in the last couple of years you putting up like stories that you're doing like quick little edits of you
Yeah.
like out in the yard with the fam. and
Yep,
stuff.
totally.
Like early 90s, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were live in the 80s and 90s, guys.
Yeah, the
I mean,
1900s.
Sean wasn't in the 80s. But
Oh yeah, the 1900s.
you were born in the 1900s?
Early 1900s.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Well, that's cool. Yeah, so talk about studio stuff and get into that part of it in school. And like,
Yeah, so like in school, if you read a book and you have to do a book report and stand up and read something or make a little, like on those poster boards, I asked the teacher if I'd be able to make a video instead. And they were like, yeah, I guess, we have one of those wheel out, Bill Nye the Science Guy carts that are strapped down on a cart. And they're like, I don't see why not. Nobody else was doing it. And the class seemed to like it because, you wheel that thing out, shut the lights off. Everyone's like, yeah.
Yeah, right?
No matter what it is. And so, other people would be up there reading their report, but I had a video. And so that was super fun. It was like history reports. We used to do stuff like art history stuff, science projects.
Did you get nervous or anything in front of the class? Was this like something you just loved to show the class? Do you remember those moments in the beginning of you being creative? Were you excited? Were you nervous? Like watching the whole class watch your film?
I think I did it because I was more nervous doing a stand-up report. Yeah. So I'd rather sit in the dark in the back and watch a film.
I wish I
not nervous, way less nervous.
I hated doing
because it didn't matter what you would do. It's everyone likes watching a little thing at school. Yeah.
Oh yeah, too.
And they would be like 2 minutes long, so it wasn't long, but
that was the start of the documentary career.
Yeah.
Well, and also too, it's just like a flashback to that and that time period because I was doing stuff in that time period too. We didn't have the cell phones. We didn't have access to absolutely everything. So whenever you needed to get a video to show in front of a classroom, there was quite a process from getting it from a camera that you had to find onto a VHS to then play in a VCR that then played on a TV that they rolled in.
Right.
Wasn't a computer, wasn't just streaming or pulling it up on the internet.
Right. And editing, as you know, on a VCR is ridiculous. You hit record, stop, rewind it, fast forward to get it the way you want. So super limited, but it was doable. But you're right, total process to get it to a tape that you bring to school.
So at what point in the school career did you have access to the school's gear? This was before school's gear you were doing this. Then you got into that?
Yeah, in middle school, our school started one of those inner news, like a news show,
like the in school newscast.
Yeah, it was in middle school, and it was just and it was kind of exactly. It wasn't often. It was once a week, and it was kind of like this. You have to set it up in this special room.
Yeah.
But you bring it all in and just report on whatever. And I signed up for that immediately. Just really liked it. Oh, and I forgot when I was in second grade, my second grade class got to do a big project at the local public access station.
Oh, cool.
And it was The Price is Right, a spoof as second graders. And so for 6 months, we all practiced being the host, being a contestant, and then being on the crew. And so we show up to the station, and I got really bit by the bug, I guess. As soon as the lights go off in the studio lights come on, you're operating the camera. I was hooked.
So
it's so fun.
Just to slide in, is this where we have this notorious picture?
Yes.
Of Sam on camera? And I'm hoping we can
Sam on
pop
cam.
Sam on cam.
Yeah.
Hoping we can pop that up there if you can send it over to us. But there's this famous picture amongst all of us for you, this big.
I was 8 years old, little frilly socks, a child holding the camera sticks from way down here. Operating camera in 1997, I believe it was.
And did you do an echo of it recently or in the last couple of years, 2017? Did you go
where I recreated
Yeah, you redid it, right?
Yeah. So
it was the actual station.
It was when I was in college. When I was going to college, I ended up getting a job at that same station.
That's what it is.
Yeah, and noticed in the studio they had it appears that it's the same camera. They've never updated their gear.
We're gonna do a side by side on that. And you guys can be the judge on that.
Yeah, maybe it's a little different, but it looks pretty damn similar.
Pretty similar. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And so whenever you got into that production stuff in high school and started doing more towards the TV station career, where was your mind at? Were you driven to do journalism stuff? When you got into that vein, what was the goal?
Yeah, kind of. In high school there was a dedicated a daily news show just within the school. It was second hour for the first 10 minutes. We were live, and so I signed up for that. Only juniors and seniors could be in it. So as I went through high school, I was watching it, and the people on the news show was called Wake Up West Tonka. They were celebrities in the school. The news anchors would be oh my God, there they are. I was I want to be in that. It was super fun. And then within that, what I really liked was the little side edits that they would do. Hey, Christmas is coming up. Here are some 10 things you can do during Christmas break. Stuff like that. And then they would add humor to it. So it's reporting meets comedy. I was really drawn to because I'm big into comedy comedy, sketch comedy, pretty lighthearted stuff.
Yeah.
And so all of that between the studio, having little side edit projects to work on, I was just super drawn to it. And I still do it today. It's so fun.
As a side note, because I've every once in a while I'll get a homie of mine from that time period and we do something. Do you ever work with anybody from the olds, like you have like friends from the old time, or just see them and they're still doing that stuff? Or are you one of the few that's doing it?
Not from high school necessarily. Actually, a buddy of mine that was in announcements, we loved it. We were always paired as anchors together because we were this like comedy duo. We were voted class clowns because of it. He's a musician, and so I did a music video for them a couple years ago, like from high school, and it was like super goofy and weird, and it totally brought us back to high school and our dumb sense of humor.
They're like, you actually can only use the gear at the school to shoot this video, just to like give it a vibe.
At the time, yeah, we were borrowing, and then those were like mini DV tape cameras.
We were talking about that the last time, mini DV, and then the big ones you got was like the DV, like compacts that you put into like the edit machine at this TV station.
Yep.
Oh man.
That was when like iMovie started getting popular, so we were editing on like iMovie, those old Macs.
Old Macs, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So now we're out of high school and stuff like that. You're like chasing this career in journalism specifically.
Not necessarily. I didn't know what I wanted to do because I graduated 2007. I just wasn't really university material, and so I took a year off trying to think of like what I wanted to do. I wanted it to do something to do with video production. I didn't really want to work in the news, so I'm not necessarily journalism. I didn't want to shoot, all I could think of at the time, 2008, sports or news. And this was before equipment kind of got a little more accessible. Like when the 5D Mark II came out, that was blew the door open.
Groundbreaking for all of us.
Yeah, and so that was before that. And so I had no idea, and my family, as supportive as they are, they're like, what career is this? Like, what can you even do with that if you don't want to do news or sports?
Right.
And I didn't know yet, but I still hung on to the idea that I wanted to do something with it. Eventually, a year later, I found a technical college that offered a video program. It's just Hennepin Technical College. It was a 2-year degree. It was affordable, and it was all hands-on video stuff in the studio, making edits, and it was so much fun. And while I went to school there, I got the job at the TV station that I had done the thing in second grade, and so I was just like 100% video production all the time for like 2 years.
See, it's a lifelong dedication, folks.
And I loved it.
Yeah. Real quick though, as a pause point, do we have anything going on in the chat right now?
I was just responding to bunk bed.
Nice. Any questions? I can't see.
Yeah, he said I saw that you're wearing a shirt that says Fort Collins on it. Are you guys located in Colorado?
Oh yeah, well
he is also.
Well, yeah. Real quick, if you're paying attention to that, we are out of Fort Collins right now. We're literally in Fort Collins, Colorado.
Right now.
We're there right now, north town, if you will, northwest, if you will. So yeah, we're here. We do a lot of stuff in this area, and that's kind of the point, is that there's a lot of talent here locally. So yeah, reach out to us. Find we're Nerd Rat on Instagram, stuff like that. There's also Horsetooth Fest. You got Listo Pictures and Sean.
No, just kidding. Sean's cool too.
And Sean, if you want to like follow,
I do some sometimes.
Yeah, right. But yeah, anyways, let's get back on track. I just want to make sure we had anything else going on in there. Yeah. But yeah, Sam, so yeah, we've kind of gone through some of those. Go ahead, Sam. Yeah, or Sam. You're Sean. You're Sean.
When we're like talking to them, just talk to the for the podcast. Yeah.
Am I looking here?
Yeah. And she'll be like address them. It's gonna be weird eye lines for the final cut.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah,
good to know.
I was like staring down here.
It is hard because we see ourselves, so we're drawn to watching it. But anyway, cool.
Okay, right there. Okay, all right. Zoop, zoop, zoop. So now that you've kind of figured out, you've got the job that you've kind of went to school for, but you kind of got out of it. What happened next? Like, where are we going now? We're still in Minnesota at this point?
Yeah, so it was 2009 and 2010, full-time college. Learned a lot there, met some lifelong friends there. And a couple of them still do video production work. And still to this day, I reach out and hit him up when I'm in the area, and he helps me on shoots sometimes too. We won a state competition that brought us to an international competition once. It was called Skills USA. Have you ever heard of that?
No, I haven't.
It's basically like a trade school competition.
I have,
You
heard
of this?
Well, we did a a video. Andy and I did a video that had that tied into one of the aspects of like it was like a trade when we did that like run of like community colleges and stuff like that videos. They talked about Skills USA, but yeah, don't really know much about it. But
oh, cool.
And that was part of it. Okay.
Yeah, it was. I didn't really know much about it either.
What'd you do
and our
for it?
professor was like, "Hey, does anyone want to be a team?" It's almost like a film race. What it was to get qualified, and it was like, okay, you're gonna get dropped off at this one. It was a nature center. Go shoot like a promo for this, and then it'll be judged, and whoever wins goes to the national competition. And so we won out of like, I don't know, there wasn't a ton of teams. There was like 6 teams, but we won, and we got a paid trip to go to Kansas City where like the nationals was held.
Cool.
But there was like a carpentry competition, a cooking competition, like some sort of welding thing, like all sorts of different programs that are in colleges, and ours was video production. And really, really sadly, we did our thing. Again, it was like, okay, each of the teams is going to go to this part of the city and do like a promo about this particular like shopping and dining area. And you have like 24 hours to do it. And we did it. We submitted our thing, but that was when MP4 versus MOV was not playing on each other's computers.
Oh,
so we were Mac people. Like we brought a tower with us. We edited them. We exported an MOV, but they were being played on
like a PC.
And so it didn't play. And so we saw everybody's pieces, and ours never showed, and like we saw them, and we were like, we probably would have won too.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but like ours was better. And then we didn't even get played, and so we were like, dang, we came all the way out here.
all the way to beautiful
Shoot.
Kansas City.
Such a beautiful place. I got a lot of friends in Kansas City.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'd say it's beautiful, but right.
It's Kansas City, Missouri, if that makes a difference.
Oh, yeah.
It was pretty cool. It was a good time.
That's dope, though. So having those kind of competitions when you're younger, especially when you don't have access to gear and you're able to get out there, it's like it's so wild. I mean, nowadays you can basically put up a video on a streaming service and you could possibly go, or a streaming service, a social media site, and go viral. Back then
by
it was just
accident,
like, most of the time it's like, who can you get into a room to watch this? And then that's the audience that saw it. Like, that was it. There's no like, oh, right now it'll be on YouTube next week.
Yeah.
Or something like that, you know? Not quite yet.
I want to add to that, though. I guess the college thing was great. Lots of experiences, lots of silly failures to this day. Like, I'm never doing that again.
Right.
One of my very first, at the TV station, I convinced them. I was just a master control technician, which basically meant I sat in a closet and made sure that DVDs would kick off, like they would play. It was mostly about city councils and community events. There was 4 channels, and I was basically monitoring them and making sure that they kicked off. But I wanted to do editing and video production, so I convinced them to give me like little assignments. And my very first one that I was paid to do, like maybe like $10 an hour, was like the local, like a local quilting club. So, like I wasn't
Going to their
and so I go and I bring the studio equipment. It's only like a mile up the road from where I'm going.
For sure.
And I got everything set up. I picked a couple of ladies to interview. And I have them sit down, and I'm ready to record, to find out I did not have a tape in the camera, and I did not bring one with me. And and that's the last time I ever forgot any tapes or cards, because I was so nervous. It was my first one. I was by myself. I pretended to hit record, and I interviewed her anyway.
Oh my God!
And then I left. I was like, I'll be right back. And then I went back and got tapes and continued and just pretended that didn't happen. And
by the way,
anyway.
Can you say your name again?
I just didn't interview her again.
So
Sorry,
she didn't make the cut.
Nobody knew.
It's all right. We've all had to. Oh my God! So
Yeah.
many friggin' times.
But at least it was the first one I ever did.
Yeah, right.
You know,
And then that was the
never
last
forgotten
time.
cards ever since.
You get you and whip you up a little bit.
Yeah.
So does that mean you continued doing more after that? Was that like, did they see your work and did you?
Yeah, it was like being aired, and I had to kind of prove to the station manager that this is fun and it's nice to have a little bonus content instead of just showing city council meetings all the
There you
time.
go.
That actually technically was my first paid video production gig, was filming city council meetings.
So I got a question for you then. What happened to me whenever I was doing video production stuff like that is I got put on cam op because I'd done it in college, and I didn't quite understand the IA piece, if you will, of like designing a shot fully, because no one knew what they were teaching me. I was learning everything from scratch. And there's a guy named Gary Headley who's, rest in peace. He died in his like mid-50s recently, but he was like a legend where I grew up in the TV station, and he literally almost slapped me into being a cinematographer for a time, because he's like, I'm gonna take you out to the falls we had at the time, and I'm gonna have you set up a camera. And he just said, set it up. And I'm like, all right. And I set up this big, bulky camera for a shot. And he goes, all right, now I'm going to teach you about depth perception. And he literally like put something in the foreground and racked to something. And that moment, I remember seeing that going, and it like literally, it clicked. Like, this is videography at its finest, not just getting a shot. Was there a time period during this process that clicking moment where you're like, I get this? Like, when did that happen for you? Did it happen during this time period? As
far as making like edits, like intentional like filmmaking?
More like understanding what it means to get a good shot, or making a good video. Like something I call it the Sam shot, just that 3/4 floater shot.
Yeah, you know the one.
Yeah. Like when did it land for you? You're like, oh, this is going to be good. Like, do you remember that moment ever? Like when your brain realized how a camera and the shots work. Do you remember that moment, Sean, too?
Yeah. I mean, I was in videography class, and I just kind of ended up being the one behind the camera because no one else really wanted to. But yeah, just coming up with those really crazy random shots and being like super creative because that was like my first time really ever running a camera. I did some stuff like you were saying, like having the family cam. I remember actually the first time we came to Colorado, I was blown away by like the moths that like were congregating outside of our cabin or whatever we're staying at. And I made a home video of me like comparing my hand against like the size of the moths. And that was like the first time I ever ran a camera. But yeah, there are those moments where you're like, oh yeah, you can like do some really cool things. Like I don't know if I have a copy of my first short film in high school, but we did some really random shots. Like actually, Justin Young, like walking down the stairs, and I laid on the stairs, and as he walked over me, I like panned up over it. So you're like,
we're all just doing like, this shot's amazing. Remember those moments?
You're like looking up his like short pants, like his boxers, and like you're like, it's like a terrible angle. I think like moments like that were like the first ones where like
moving camera and seeing like first music videos. Those moments of doing that. Do you have a moment like that, Sam?
As far as just fun storytelling stuff, back in high school for the fun side ones, ours was like the Christmas video send off. It wasn't about like things to do or like it was just silly. We made a just goofy thing, and it was too long. Like the whole
like, you guys announcements is
they did, but they made us. It was like 10 minutes long, and that's how long the announcements is. And so they were like, we can't show this. I'm like, but we worked so hard on it.
Come on.
We did this whole thing, and it was kind of like a Reservoir Dogs spoof.
Cool.
It was about like me and my friend Jeff. We noticed my friend's really bumming out. We're like, but it's Christmas. You should be stoked. And we like captured her and like. We did this whole like Reservoir Dogs thing where and that was so much fun. But then later, it wasn't until I got a 5D Mark II, like years after it had come out, and I had lenses that actually reflected depth perception, because those home video cameras, you can't really see it. But until I actually had like my own glass is when I could see it. Just like testing it, just like rack focusing, figuring out depth and light.
What was that first
having iris for the first time?
Being able to get that 1.8 for the first time, being like, oh, that's cinematography.
Yep. And it was a 1.8. It was an 85 millimeter.
I was about to ask, what was it?
Was it 85 1.8?
Those 85s
like,
too.
Whoa,
so beautiful.
Here we go. Yeah.
Right.
Like going back to what you're saying, like making things too long too. That first short film.
Oh yeah.
We basically like a way.
Didn't want to cut any shots. Like every shot's amazing. Everything's
that's exactly
the entire take. The entire take was perfect.
The assignment was take like a fairy tale and make your own like adaptation of it. So it's like a way to like develop your like a story around a pre-existing story. And so we did Sleeping Beauty, and our thing was our Sleeping Beauty character gets into WoW, and becomes like spellbound until he goes into a coma, and then this girl that he had a crush on has to kiss him to wake him up or whatever. It was 17 and a half minutes long.
A nice tight 3 minutes could have sold it.
And we never told
let's just show
our
it.
teacher, because like it was like 8 minutes was the max. And we showed up with this thing that's like easily double.
Yeah,
You're in the back, just like,
yeah.
He's like,
do they like it?
he's
you
looking
think,
at
though?
you like, keep it going.
It's
Almost
so
done.
dumb.
It's almost done. They're like, I don't know
funny,
about that.
yeah.
But yeah, okay, well, we all did stuff like that too. And as an echo of that is like, I used to do production, and the teachers would get furious because they were supposed to be 10 minutes, and it was for like a seminar class. And the seminar was like 45 minutes. And I'd get to the point where I started making like short films that were like 30 minutes long. And just because it's like a reason to do something creative, and no one really studied, they just wanted to watch something cool. And yeah, you started making these like weird random, like there's a cop arresting like a fake deer that people hunted. Like it was insane. So I'm glad that all three of us were just so creative that the school had to like pump the brakes. Like, listen,
Stop.
There's a limit.
these kids are not going to
There are
learn
other
anything.
kids
Yes, there are other kids in the school, and you're distracting all of them.
Yeah.
They're not learning
Yep.
anything.
Yep.
Oh man, good times and stuff. Well, we're about 25 minutes in right now too, like that. I think that we could do a part 2 with Sam here and kind of keep running with it.
I mean, I'm also down just to
You want to keep
whatever.
going?
Yeah, whatever the length it needs to be. I don't want to like limit it. And
For sure.
But yeah.
Cool. Well, we might, we could cut this part out. Who knows? Whatever. But if that's the case, let's just kind of ride with it here and just kind of
Yeah.
keep going. So, how about this? We're going to use this. We're probably going to cut this right here. Why don't we call it a part 1 and a part 2? Because we're trying to retain that shorter audience until they get committed to an hour. So then we just call it a part 2, and then it would make sense for us to not even have to worry about changing clothes or whatever.
Cool.
Let's just do it. Okay,
Yeah.
let's end this one real quick, okay? Well, hey, guys, we have a lot to talk more about with Sam. We're going to do... Hey, guys, we got so much more to talk about with Sam. And I can't speak today, but, we're going to keep talking to her. Stay tuned for part 2. Be sure to like and subscribe with what we're doing here. Follow Sam. She's on Least No Pictures. She's got all kinds of stuff. She's on Instagram. She went there.
Everything will be linked below too.
Yeah,
so.
everything will be linked below. Follow her. She's awesome. You basically get all the entertainment you want from her if you want. But stay tuned, guys. Anything else you want to add to that?
No, I like your
All right.
intro.
Cool.
We'll
All right.
Cut there.
Cut there. Okay, cool. I got to use the bathroom real quick.
Cool. Yeah. And then Bunk
We got
Reg
some questions coming in.
posted that he posts music to his channel and was wondering if we make music videos.
Oh, we do make music
You should
videos.
check out our channel because it's almost all music video content.
Yeah, that's our thing that we love to do. Yes.
We won't say how much we charge on the stream necessarily. We have it really depends. Whatever we can be as small or as large of a budget. So yeah, there's no like definitive like flat rate for that. But we have a few people watching, which is fun. I think it's probably counting me watching the live chat, so I have and then the one over there.
Mm-hmm.
It is nice having like monitors though, kind of scattered around.
Yeah.
What kind of music do you perform or play, Bunk Bed?
How you feeling about it, Sam? Is there anything we're like skipping over that we want to talk about or anything like that?
No, I feel like there's still more story of
I
how it evolved into Fort
figured
Collins
it.
and all that. Yeah.
And it's the conversation of it too. Is like us kind of going back and forth, so it doesn't just feel like an interview.
No, it's great.
Yeah,
It's
cool.
fun.
Sweet. Yeah. Yeah, guys.
Stop recording.
What is if I had an eating competition, I would likely win. Tight. Love it.
Joey Chestnut vibes.
Joey Chestnut vibes. Oh, JC? For some reason, I thought was a different letter I've never thought of. Or like, what was it, Travis with a CH? My name's Travis with a CH. Travis?
Travis.
I think that's is that a...
Trevor Wallace joke.
Yeah, it's a Trevor Wallace.
That's what I heard at first, like his joke.
Yeah,
Find his podcast on YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube. Yeah, Trevor Wallace. Yeah, we were watching him in Churdley days, and he's blown up, dude. I saw him in a movie recently, actually. Trevor Wallace. I love that.
He has like a stand-up special on that.
Yeah, it's called like Pterodactyl or something like that. I don't know. It's pretty dope. Anyways, you want to go right into it?
Yeah.
Everybody good?
Keep it flowing. Yeah.
Cool.
Solid.
No, hold on.
Oh,
Just kidding. Taking my quarter shot. So I'm not like, oh, I agree. Cool. All right, we're going to go into part 2 here, guys.
Beanzo's on now.
Hey,
It's
Benzo's
official.
here. It's officially a Nerd Rap podcast. Okay.
Our number one fan.
Number one fan. Okay, I'll intro this one here. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. We're kind of doing a part 2 here with Sam Hanus. We have a lot more to talk about. But just before we get into that, we're doing these podcasts here. We're trying to get more folks that we want to talk to on the cast. If you have any suggestions for us out there, or if you want to ask us questions during these casts, if you're seeing this retroactively after we've done the live feed, come talk to us while we're doing them. We usually post a live stream that's on while we're doing a batch recordings, and it gives you a chance to give your own opinions about some stuff. Outside of that, we've been chatting about like how we all kind of met, where Sam's come from, and kind of based on our previous podcast, just kind of nerding out about making videos, film. That's the whole purpose of this thing here. So, Sam Hanus here. Say hi again.
Hello,
Sam.
hello.
And let's just kind of get right back into it. Unless you want to add anything, Sean or Sam or anything like that.
No, yeah, we can just pick up right where we left off.
Right where we left off. So we've been talking about the growth into the TV production, doing some creative stuff, working with cats back home. Now, where's your trajectory now at this point? We're still in Minnesota in the timeline, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
In college, which again, I can't stress enough how awesome technical colleges are, especially for video production. If you just want to get into it, especially now with the equipment so much more updated at this point, I would assume in most colleges.
Well, yeah. I've been to a couple of them where it's like, we got like 2002, like, XL2s or something like that.
Oh, yeah. We had XL1s.
XL1s?
We
I had a GL1.
We were working with JVC 110s.
Yeah,
Those
right.
were the big shoulder mount ones.
Have you ever heard of SD?
Yeah.
I'm kind of sad I missed all of that because I came in when like Sony Handycams were like the little
The
thing,
last on it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I still actually have the VHS camera that my parents used to shoot home videos on. You have to hold the record button down and put another lens from the case in front of it to be in focus, but it still works.
Oh, I still have my original cameras too, like from the first days.
Right?
I still got them.
It's like,
two of 'em.
if we ever get like a studio or a shared studio or something like that, I would have like a case of all these old
Oh
pieces
yeah,
of gear.
they're like trophies.
Yeah, they're like, oh, is that like some kind of like kick-ass like Ari? No, that's a shoulder camera you'd get in the catalog for Kmart, like
Yep.
special of like 1989 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sean, jealous?
A little bit. I missed this whole
It's up
era.
1992. Yeah.
Give it another 20 years, people are gonna be like, that was a terrible time in
I also
production.
didn't get it into filmmaking until 2010 was my senior year. So that was the first time I like really started shooting. So I missed
Nice.
a lot of the VHS era and never even actually really watched movies until high school. So
I didn't even know what a movie was until last week.
My second tattoo is VCR buttons.
Yeah,
It's like
that's
play,
what-
pause, stop, record as an
Right.
homage to
For
my
sure.
beginnings.
See?
across the knuckles.
Oh my god, that's a great
That's
idea.
a good idea,
That's
right?
awesome.
Just like doing this?
Yeah.
Like rewinding and then hitting play and then boop, boop, boop. Like if you're just getting in street fights like the rest of like production houses. You know what it is out there?
Rewind my fist in your face.
You gotta look out. These production teams are crazy. You come across them in the streets, you're gonna have to fight. The cameras on your shoulder or some kind of Anchorman. All right. Discourse there, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, back to that. Where do we go? Where do we come from? Sam, get us back onto the train there.
Yeah, college was cool. They put us in front of some real corporate clients. We did like safety videos for Centerpoint Energy, which is kind of like XL Energy.
Cool.
So they gave us like real world opportunities, which was super cool. Anyway, college wraps up, super fun. I was about to move to Colorado. I came out here because just a good friend of mine went to school at CSU. I came out to visit a few times, and like most people, totally hooked. Leaving the Midwest, one of the many Midwest transplants.
Oh, yeah.
I came like 2 or 3 times, and I'm like, I got nothing to lose. I'm graduating college this summer. Let's come out. So,
And all 3 of us are transplants at this point too.
Yep.
So yeah, like don't be afraid to travel.
Yeah.
Actually, it's just getting out of that hometown and going somewhere that's you can kind of grow a new growth if you will.
Yeah. And so I guess back in college, some really awesome people in some of my classes facilitated being a part of 24-hour film races, 48-hour film races, and also just doing short films that they just were spearheading to do. And so I would jump on any crew I could just because just being on set is so much fun.
Yeah.
So I would just jump on anything I could. And again, still not really knowing how to turn it into a career because I didn't own any equipment. Sure, we had the college access stuff, the public access station equipment too, but it wasn't like the greatest. And I remember a couple of moments, just whatever, a guy I was dating in high school, his mom said something to me like, that's not a career, like you'll never make anything of this. And then even one of my own aunts, she worked at the local grocery store, knew I was moving, and she was ringing my groceries up.
You'll be back.
And I was like, she was like, oh, you're moving to Colorado? You're going to go get a real job? And I was like,
Ooh.
Shots fired.
okay.
Right.
Yeah, shots fired.
Jeez.
All right.
And that was a different mindset. What time? This was like
This is
2010?
summer of 2010.
There you go.
I think the 5D Mark IIs came out in 2008, which I just didn't have access to, and no one really had them quite yet, or anyone that I knew.
Yeah.
Well, also too is in a time period on a larger spectrum. I don't think Instagram even existed yet.
Nope.
YouTube had barely been around, and so a lot of people were.
YouTube started in 2008. I think.
Yeah, 2008.
It was earlier than that, actually. It was in like
2005.
2005.
2005, but
I
then
think
it
so,
became. I think then it became
I was
public
using
or
it
something.
in high school.
Yeah.
Like we
okay.
used to go to each other's houses and be like, "No, I'm going to
Well,
show
that-
you a YouTube video.
Well,
no, I'm going to show
that's
you."
what it was. It was
Yeah.
the GI Joe. That was the first viral videos I saw of the GI Joe videos, and we were streaming them on like a terrible computer at the TV station.
Yep.
What the fuck, man?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right? We'd go find speakers.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like the point is that during that time period, yeah, there were a lot of mindsets that this isn't a career. And I remember my teachers in high school and college kind of being like, whatever to that. And now you got a camera in your pocket. People, you watch, like, I think on average, like most people watch like 75 videos a day. And it's like looking back then,
Yeah,
then
look
being
what
like,
happened.
this isn't a career. I'm like, you were kind of right, but
Maybe not at the time.
maybe not at the time, but like the career
But
is.
now we're like 10 years ahead of you, haven't been doing it for so
Right.
long.
Yeah, we're like learning new things, and now we're the old farts being like, oh, now we're all vertical
I used
video.
to edit on tape.
Yeah, I had to hold the camera like this. I couldn't zoom.
Yeah.
Well, it's like there's like I think there was like some kind of like video or like some kind of like stream where they're showing like someone that was born in like 2005 and someone was born in like 1985, and they didn't see each other, and they'd just say, how do you like gesture certain things?
Yeah. Like,
And
how
they're
do you
like-
take the phone? It's either this,
Yeah, this and
this.
some of this, or like how do you take a picture and then we're doing this and they're doing this.
Yep.
And there's
Yep.
and there's a millennial delay or something that they have now that they call. So when Gen Z hits, or like younger Gen Z, at this point it's like Gen Alpha and Beta coming. Whenever they push their phone, it starts recording immediately. So they start talking immediately. But our generation, what they do is we're used to the hitting the record button and then it taking a second to kick on. So we hit record and then there's like a second delay before we speak, and like these younger kids can immediately tell that we're old because we don't start talking as soon as we hit the
my
button.
God, how
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's called like a millennial
And
delay.
it's like a second.
Yeah, it's like a second, like, oh my God, I can't watch this.
Oh,
This
the
person's
ankle
old.
socks, I do it.
Yeah,
You're old.
yeah.
1900s.
Yeah,
Get outta
1900s.
here.
Yeah, look at that hat. Is
Just
that,
like
is it a fat Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah.
Hi, this guy, I can't handle these 30-second videos.
And they're
30
calling
seconds.
us boomers.
Yeah, right? Grannies. Like,
Hilarious.
millennial delay is a thing now. So
Oh my
the
God.
whole point of that was that we were doing these things before it was just in everybody's hands. And we saw the results, and you saw it too a little bit, is the transition from you had to kind of have a little bit of money to get a camera, like especially like high eights and stuff. Like the reason that all these directors from an old time like Spielberg and Cameron and all these cats were able to do it is they were able to get a hold of gear at a younger age that no one was able to get a hold of. And now there's a whole generation of people that have that. It causes for a little bit of like a lot of people doing stuff, but I still think it's rewarding for anybody that's trying to get into it, because now they don't have to go through the hiccups of all the stuff we'd have to do, like how are you going to make a film? At that point, you just might as well be just making plays. So that's kind of where we're at in this time period.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. But yeah, those comments definitely fueled like just one of those people where if you tell me no, I will like figure out a way to get what I said I was gonna do. Like that's not you're gonna get a real job. That's not a real career. I'm like, really? Hit me back up in a couple years.
The same generation 20 years later would look at their own job as a cashier and be like, that's not a real job.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Well, yeah. Anyways, politics aside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I moved out to Colorado, summer of 2010, with a friend of mine. I only really knew her friends in town, which was fine. It was a good time. But I still wanted to work in production. And at the time, Craigslist was like the only place to find like random gigs. And so I was on Craigslist daily looking for video production jobs.
And this is, we're in Colorado. You've arrived in Colorado.
I'm in Fort Collins. I'm on Craigslist. I am finding gigs in Denver, working on like a day or two productions of like reality TV shows. Or like one time the X Factor came to Denver and I worked on that for 4 days and I had like a different job each day, which was cool. Weaseled my way into holding a camera in like the room with Simon Cowell. Like I was in like interview or like the audition. Yeah, like
Gotcha.
The second round of auditions, and I got to take their main B-roll crew around areas that I knew had like mountain views and stuff. So that was pretty fun. But there were a couple of instances on reality show teams where I got to experience like some, New York and LA, very seasoned people, but the particular ones I worked with were kind of miserable and made shooting not fun at all. Like they were just like kind of jerks. Some of them. Not saying everybody from New York and LA is, but just that the particular experiences were. And some of that inspired me to get my own stuff. Because I had the mindset of like, you got to start small. You start as a PA, you make your way up. And I'm like, I don't know how fast I'm going to be able to make my way up with these traveling crews coming in. And I'm just kind of like hands, which is fun to do. But I want to shoot something. And I was fortunate enough that I had some savings still from college left over, because technical college wasn't as expensive. I had just enough to buy a 5D Mark II, my first camera really, 2 lenses, and a MacBook Pro. And so I was, boom. I didn't have any audio gear, lights, or anything, but I just had enough to like shoot footage at least. And so that was in, I think, the summer of 2011, I got my first real camera and started just shooting absolutely everything. I brought it with me everywhere. I shot everything. I would post those clips online. I would make videos of whatever I could until eventually I was able to convince somebody to pay me to do it.
Yeah.
And
how long was that process from getting the camera to getting paid for you?
Ooh, to think about that.
I mean, not necessarily like the first paycheck, but like maybe the first time someone asked you to maybe do something for a low, maybe
shoot a wedding or
shoot a wedding
photos.
Can you shoot my?
Oh,
shoot my
actually,
family?
so part of the Craigslist stuff, the first person I met in town that does production was Doug Usher.
Doug Usher.
He posted
That's
Doug
a name
Usher.
locally.
He posted an ad working for his Dellenbach commercials. He does car commercials, and I met up with him and Tomas, and I think Ben Mosier was there.
Ooh, that's was Schneider there by chance?
Could have been. Or it was at least Tomas and Doug.
Right.
They were like doing those a lot, and so I got invited back to a couple more, which was really, really cool. And then they put me in touch with other people. I think the second person they connected me with, Tomas did, was with Nick Scheides of Wasteland Hop.
Yeah.
Who also was doing some video production.
I was wondering we were going to get to this.
Yes.
Level.
Yeah. So Tomas introduces me to Nick. Nick had a shoot somewhere in like Berthoud about some corporate video about like a farm and the milk or something. And I had my camera and he said, hey, why don't you bring it? And I said, I think at the time I had just gotten like my first like Sennheiser wireless lavalier too. So I had, and that like just having that lavalier set me apart from like getting jobs or not. Like if you have any way to get the sound.
Get good audio. Yeah.
And so I work with Nick. The shoot goes well. He's awesome. He's like, hey, I'm in a band and we have a show this weekend. You want to come I don't think we can pay you, but if you want to come, it's at the Aggie. Wasteland Hop was playing, and I shot photos for them, and that's how I met them.
Well, and just as a quick side note for anybody that's paying attention out there that doesn't necessarily know the local community, can you speak about Wasteland Hop's like legacy, just briefly about here in this area?
Yeah, Wasteland Hop is a local band that started in 2010 or 11, I believe. A couple of people played music together. They found other people. It was a 6-piece band. And they're all over town too. Some of them have moved out of state, but they're still playing music today, touring Alaska sometimes, and playing in town here at Foco MX and stuff. Another
echo of moving to this northern Colorado area is we do have a massive music scene, which allows us to work with a lot of cats. So
yeah,
but not everybody when they first get here get to hook up with a band that, in my opinion, grew to a pretty massive scale locally when they started. So that's kind of a cool hookup that you got there. Trying to find that. So where did that lead? What kind of stuff did you do with Wasteland? I know you did a lot of stuff.
Yeah, shot their show and just talked about doing a music video sometime. And I had never done a music video, and so that was my first one, was for them. And I guess that's coming into when I met you guys too.
Yeah,
so it's
we're
like
getting close.
2011, 2012, Wasteland Hop. Still working with Doug. Then the movie Wednesday came about, and then I started meeting a lot of people in the film and music scene through that movie.
Oh man, I would, as a side note, I know it might be a challenge, but I'd love to get, like, I call them the 4 horsemen of the film scene here to talk about Wednesday, because it was kind of like a...
Doug, Tomas, Ben, and Andrew.
Yeah,
right?
Andrew, right?
Yeah, the 4 horsemen.
Yeah, the 4 horsemen. Well, anybody out there that's paying attention doesn't know about the scene here. There was a movie that came out in about 2013 is when it was officially released. That was in my opinion, the first time that there was like that flower that came out of the dirt. And I know it was. You talk to those guys, they'll say it was a mess trying to make it. But let's be honest here, most films are when you're trying to figure it out. Yeah. But that's just like a side note of what Sam's talking about. There's a lot of legends in this area.
Yeah.
And that's a big one.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Just however they feel about how it turned out, I loved it. It was so fun.
I have a copy still.
I've never seen it. I met so many people in town through that event, and so that was like pivotal for me, I think. Even
some of the cats you still work with today are on the cover of the case and stuff like that.
Susanna.
I
work with I love Suze. We had that relationship turned into short films, comedy, and just being really good friends too. So super grateful for that.
Yeah, for sure. And that's someone else we could bring on too, because she's had experience.
She would be a great. Yeah, another great guest.
Well, we're slowing down just for a moment here. Do we have anything going on in the chat?
Oh no, I was just
cool.
I was just looking at levels and.
Yeah, Beanzo, you are late. Oh, that was like probably 20 minutes ago. Yeah,
I was like when we started this.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Oh, I'm late. Okay.
Actually, cool. In Wednesday, Doug had an unfortunate medical incident. I think he had kidney stones.
Oh.
And so he wasn't able to show up for a day or two or for a small period of time. And he tapped me and my 5D Mark II to shoot a couple of scenes. And that was kind of some of my first narrative intentional shooting for this film.
And I haven't seen the movie in a couple of years, but what scene do you remember shooting specifically from it, just out of curiosity?
It was up at Horsetooth, and it was supposed to be like a day for night shot. So we're shooting in high noon, blaring sun, and then I didn't edit it, but they took the lights on to make it look blue. But they were looking at a fire in the mountains, which ironic. And then later there was fire.
That was
same
literally
mountains.
Yeah,
but it was with Wild Rose and White Owl.
Yeah,
were the 2 people in the scene.
Their real names.
Yeah, real
actual
names. Yeah, and White Owl and they're still around too. We got legendary people in this town too.
Yeah,
and I feel bad not watching. I didn't know that you had something to do with that
movie.
Yeah,
there's music in it. It's hilarious. I like it.
I think
it's great.
I think that we locally should do our own almost Rocky Horror Picture Show to it, where we just have a bunch of things and we just do once a year. We all come together for this thing, because at the time I'm pretty sure it was almost anybody they could find that knew anything about video was helping with it. Because I feel like at that time period, years later, every time I talk to somebody, they're like, "Oh, I help with Wednesday. And I'm like, "Man, what is this Wednesday?" And then Ben Moser handed me a copy because he had a box full of them. So here you go, and I still
got
have
my
that.
copy too.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's just some local cool stuff going on. So you're shooting stuff like that. So when do I get to push towards the V song stuff?
Let's talk. Then that's getting us close to where we met.
Yes, exactly.
And as you mentioned on the previous about how we met, Craigslist. We both answered an ad to be in a music video. Because I was at that point always behind the camera, and I'm like, it'd be fun to not be. I would be in it, and I actually helped them find that location. They said what they were kind of looking for. They said, we don't know where we're going to be yet, but we're trying to find something like this. And I had some good friends in Boulder living at the time kind of on a dirt road at this farm. It was literally a farm, and there was an abandoned whole just property, couple acres with like big hay bales and an abandoned like shed building thing. And that ended up, they were like, cool, can we just go there? Like, yeah, it's a sleepy road, you can park in my friend's driveway, and that's where we shot it. And
that's why I didn't know that either.
Yeah, I found the location.
There you
and
go.
And then that's how I met Sean and Barrett. We were both in it, and it was
Which
super
video
fun.
was this again?
It's called Mass City Shuffle by Jim Hurley. He's a local musician. Yeah,
that's right.
And he's still, I think, still in Boulder and still doing cool
now
music
with a
stuff.
Band called August or Tusk. And
Really?
I feel like
Okay.
they've switched back and forth.
They might have. But you know how it goes around here. Like, give it like 5 years, there's another super group that forms, and we'll figure out
Yeah.
what bands they're in.
Everyone's in each other's bands.
You're like, wait, isn't that?
I kinda
Hey,
like
I knew that guy. You know. Like,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
So well, you know, making videos and stuff like that. So.
Yeah.
So you got these locations. Okay, so what happens after this? Like,
So we meet Sean and Barrett. We discover we live really close to each other, and we say, oh, if you ever need help on a shoot, and vice versa. And then we started doing that. And then the first time I met you was that a Barrett thing? It was on that bus. It was like
the Magic Bus Tour.
Visit Fort Collins, kind of like brewery tour
Yeah.
type of
So-
thing.
Forgot about
So side note on that too, because I
Yeah.
do remember it was the first time I met you. I had short hair. That was the first kind of thing that we got. Barrett had got it, and we brought all our homies on, and we were like drinking and like filming the stuff that we were doing.
We were like the woo girls in the
yeah,
bus.
right. And
Woo,
there was
cheers.
a few people like Goldie was even there. There was a few
Yeah.
like some people that are doing. Yeah,
Right.
Goldie was on there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the Goldie might be something to bring on. He's somebody that could talk for sure.
Totally.
About that stuff. Us kind of growing in that world. I remember it so well. I remember the shoot because it was one of the first things I was like, oh my God, this is happening. And I even brought my buddy
We have a
Mitch
gig.
on. Yeah, we have a gig.
Doing it, Peter.
Yeah, right?
I don't think we made a single. I don't think it paid us at all. For
No,
that.
I think we just got paid in beer.
Awesome.
We just got drunk for the day or something like that.
Yeah,
Or-
they paid us in beer. That's,
Yeah, right.
That's what they did.
But so right now, as a side note, because we're talking about Ben and Wednesday, and we talked about the lyric last time, which you know all about the lyric. The Magic Bus Tour bus is now parked in the back as a green room
Yeah.
for bands that play outside.
Yeah.
So like,
Aw.
and the thing about the bus though, it's got all this like really intense painting from this local famous painter that I can never remember his name.
Jerry something or
Yeah,
other.
yeah, and that'd be cool. I'd love to get some of these local artists like that on board. Anyways, it's back there. It's still part of the scene, even though it's dead. It's now just this. We used it to shoot as our green room for a shoot we did out there last 2 years ago. So
Then yellow line.
Yeah.
Thin Yellow
I
Line.
love
Yeah.
it.
So yeah, there's all of us just like history just kind of goes like this here.
Yeah.
So anyway, Sam.
Did someone say something about Wednesday?
Yeah, did they?
Oh yeah, Beanza gave us another $2
Hey, thanks, Beanzo.
super chat.
Yeah, man. These are like paid casts these days.
Single-handedly.
Yeah, funding us for these.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I guess he wants a copy of Wednesday, so we'll.
Oh,
we'll
sweet.
try-
Well,
Oh,
dude,
cool.
I bet you I
Yeah.
could probably talk to Ben, and next time I go out
Well,
to
now
visit.
I need one too. 'cause
Well,
Yeah,
right?
I
Never
bet there's
watched
some
it.
floating
Well,
around.
I could also do something really illegal and upload it on a computer and
To our
send it
YouTube
to,
channel.
Yeah, to our YouTube channel. It's got to be on the internet somewhere, right? I don't know. Ben's probably like, or Doug's
Whatever.
got it somewhere. Everyone's jaded a little bit, so we'll have to like poke them a little bit for it, you know? So, yeah. So, anyways, Wednesday, moving, on with that. The Magic Bus Tour is when we all kind of met.
Yeah.
So, what was our next step or your next step in this whole, like, growth?
Yeah, I was still finding random jobs here and there, and through Barrett, he lived in South Korea for a couple years, and he was involved with a company that made educational language learning films for this education company.
Yeah.
And it was like, when you take Spanish class and you have to watch a video, they're really slow, basic conversations. Like, I'm going to the library. Which direction is it? Like, really basic conversation. And so Barrett moves back to Colorado. He says that the company wanted to shoot in the United States because they were shooting in South Korea and then I think in like New Zealand too.
Yeah, that's right. It
But
was
they
New
wanted to
Zealand.
film, since they're teaching children to speak English, they wanted just all American kids with like American accents.
Yeah.
So they wanted to keep going and filming in the United States. And so Barrett brings that team to Colorado, and he hit me up and he said, hey, we're holding interviews for people to potentially be on the crew to shoot some of these. The way he described it was, he's like, it's basically short videos based around one word or a phrase.
Right.
And I'm like, that sounds
some bit of grammar. Or,
kind of like for children. It's like, okay, like not my first choice, but like
Right.
it's a job though. You said, but
They
it pays.
pay?
Like I can get paid to use my camera.
Right.
Like okay,
Well, now, quick note as a side note: if you haven't seen any of the episodes, Barrett is part of In the Shed, which is a company that Sean, Barrett, Shad, and I were part of years ago. Look back at some of the. We'll probably have a whole cast about that. But anyways, just want to give a little history on Barrett.
yeah. And at the time, I was working super part time in Denver for this fireplace company. I was basically shooting product videos of these little fireplaces. And he gave me a date, and it was somewhere in like Thornton, I think. So I was on my way back to Fort Collins, and he said, hey, come in for an interview. And I remember approaching the exit thinking, I don't want to do that. That sounds kind of, I don't know if I want to do that. And I was like 1 mile away, and I was like, I think I'm going to go home and just kind of bail on it. But then whatever, I just like turned my blanker on, and I was like, I'm going to check this out. And it was I showed up, it was like one of those apartments. They were probably renting it like a furnished apartment kind of thing. And they were holding these interviews in like the conference room you can rent out in one of those places. Mm-hmm. And it was this guy, Joe, Sonny, and then Barrett on one side of the table. And then I was sitting on the other side. And they were like grilling me with questions about more like social aspects of a job. And yeah, that's all I remember. I told you earlier that they were like, how do you deal with if you're making a video and your boss hates it and is really hard to work with and they're yelling at you?
You're like, is the boss a jerk?
I was like,
aren't you guys the bosses?
Well, no, I guess they were meaning like they were like
the song.
they can be really tough clients. And I didn't have a ton of experience like with doing something really consistent. I'd always just kind of done one-off small projects. And I guess whatever I said, like, passed the test. I was like, I mean, there's always a way to find a solution, and you'll figure it out. And I also fairly confident that I wouldn't run into that issue. And they were like, okay. Yeah. And then they had me do like a test shoot that day. Or actually, no, an interview. Okay, nice to meet you. Thanks, bye. And then they called me back and said we want to do like a test shoot with some kids because we're filming with children ages between like 10 and 12 was kind of the sweet spot. And so at that same apartment complex there was a park, and so they kind of stood over my shoulder, gave me one of their cameras and said, here's a little script. It's like a 1-page really basic dialogue, and they kind of just like observed me how I would shoot it and direct the kids. And I guess I passed the test. They liked how I worked with the kids. Probably helps that I'm about their height, about 5'2". And
on a good day.
yes, so they said, hey, you got the job. It's going to be like full time. Are you available for that? And I was for the summer. And it was like Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. They gave us an assignment to shoot like 10 to 15 of these short videos per day. Because they said that they were like a year behind on this content. Like
that's when you bring us in, baby.
Yeah, they were behind. And so I was the director, but I was also shooting, and I decided myself to edit myself too. So I'd shoot all day. They had a bunch of kids that we'd found to work with consistently, like 10 to 15 to 20 different children for different scenarios, like in a kitchen talking about healthy food, or just outside at the park, which is these really basic conversations. And did that for a couple months. It was really hard, obviously. So there's a lot of like creativity and coordinating, like how many how many of these scripts can we do in this one room? Like, pick a corner.
Or the corner, like
Yeah.
the rotation
You
of the
know,
house.
yeah.
Micro locations, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, so you pick one house, shoot in the backyard, the front yard, the street,
The roof.
the garage, a bedroom, the kitchen, like
Yeah.
as many as you could.
Inside, outside.
Yeah,
And also at the same time, too, is there's a lot of other restrictions, which we'll probably get to here in a second.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we might as well talk about it. So South Koreans, like you said, are really kind of just beauty based. They
just
really like just
perfection.
Perfection. They want perfection in skin tones and hair. And yeah, they didn't want any of the kids to have braces or like blemishes of any kind. They wanted them to like look clean and really put together. Which in one way, it's like, yeah, you kind of want to have a cleaned up look, but they were like, send you back. Like, that kid has a zit.
You got to
No go.
reshoot or like
Yeah.
figure out how to melt his face.
Spent so much time with
Yeah.
figuring out how to like track and remove.
And that's
blemishes.
and sometimes it comes down to with like the kids, you only have who you have,
That-
and if they're
it's-
good, it's
yeah.
like shoot, but they don't look the part.
Yeah.
But also,
that's-
too, is if they were really good, you wanted to use them in a lot of skits, and they'd tell you, like, you got to use a different child. And you're like,
Yeah.
but they're like,
But they're the best
They're
ones.
so good.
Yeah.
Can we shoot at
Finding
least
that many
500 videos with them, please? And they're
Yeah.
like, no, like 10 maybe. You're like,
Yeah. So that was really crazy. Just not only trying to hit those marks of 10 to 15 of these per day, but finding the right kids who also had to speak so clearly.
very, very good,
Yeah,
good speaking.
memorize
Had to-
lines, like there's small lines, but
Good
still
Yeah.
to be able to
words.
do
It'd
that.
be like
Like-
3 or 4 words at a time
Yeah.
because the turns of phrase, that whole program was level 2 through 12 in it was like a 4-year program. So level 2, it would be only 3 sentences at a time,
Yeah.
or 3 words at a time, rather.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're like, what, 1 through 16, is that you said it was?
Yeah, it was like 2
Something
through 14 or something.
whatever.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty intense, and that's where we were like in different parts of the world really shooting these things, but we were kind of working on the same project.
Yeah.
And you had mentioned that you'd been working it for a while, and then we ended up getting brought in to kind of wrap up some of it too.
Yeah.
So we got on the tail end, and we had a workload. So you had already been doing it for a while, and being like,
I was doing shorts all summer, and then one day, one of the main guys from Australia who was working in Seoul, South Korea, flew out to the U.S. to kind of also observe how those 2 guys, Joe and Sonny, were doing their thing, or just coming to check in on like the America project.
yeah.
And we were split into 2 groups, and like Sonny's an awesome filmmaker, but this other guy was apparently not hitting the mark of the deliveries, and then kind of asking for more funding. And they're like, what? Well, and then they were like looking at the 2 crews, my crew and his crew, and they're like, well, has no problem hitting these marks at the same budget. So what's the problem here?
Right.
And so one day, Aaron Jolly, who is awesome, we
Quite the
had to go
character.
to a location. We
Shout out Aaron.
Yeah. We shot most of the shorts in Fort Collins, but one day we had to go all the way to Parker, like an hour and a half, 2-hour drive.
Yep.
And Aaron's like, hop in my car. Like, I want to have a conversation with you. And he's like, basically, like, you're hitting the marks. Awesome. We like the way you work with the kids. The kids like working with you. And then Joe and Sonny are just like 2 adult men. So I can see how maybe like it's just a different dynamic working with children.
Yeah.
And I'm a female.
That could be definitely a
female
hangout.
and shorter and maybe a little more
like
playful in a way.
like an older sister instead of like 2 dads.
Yeah.
That are like in charge of the school.
Yeah, because it's not like they were bad, but it's just
No,
a little bit of a different
it's-
dynamic
it's
working
the
with
kids.
children.
Yeah.
And he's like, you're hitting the mark, and they're not, and we have to go, and there's a bigger aspect of this project that needs to get done, and I think that we want to hand you the reins. And I was like 24 at the time, and they gave me a number for the budget for like the rest of the year and the amount of work that it was going to be. They're like, can you handle this? And I'm like, I don't know. But instead of saying I don't know, I said, yeah, sure. And that was Junior Reporter. So instead of just random kids, whoever you could get for these shorts, Junior Reporter is a written story about at least two kids that you follow, and there's a story arc that you have to write. And I said yes, and convinced them to give us this budget to stay here in Colorado, because I knew I had some friends who had kids who were actors, they were in plays and stuff, and they were in the perfect age range. And then the next was, are you willing to be a part of this? And so we did Junior Reporter USA, like several, there were 5 minutes each 5, 10, 15, gosh, like 40 or 50 of these like units. And so it was months of work. And I went up to, they lived in the Vale Valley area in Avon. And so I moved up there and lived in their basement with my friends and their kids. And so every day they'd get home from school and I had the set up and I had all the stuff ready to go. And we were the second they got home from school, we had like snacks laid out, boom, boom, boom. And we shot for months at a time. And then, I mean, just from there, like 10 to 12-year-olds were like my friends for the next year. Like those were my coworkers.
Well, see, and just, it sounds like to me that without even realizing it fully, that you were a natural at doing what you were doing, to the point that it was like echoing throughout the rest of the other crews that happened to do this.
I guess. I don't know. Yeah. Totally unintentional. And when they handed the project over, a lot of it needed to be written. It's not like they handed us scripts
that was
to
right.
adapt. They would just give us the the scope of that unit. Like, here are the 10 vocab words. It's all those videos, by the way, were listening content.
Yeah.
Kids learning English, and then at the end of their unit, they'd watch this video and like listen for the words and the turns of phrase that they were learning. And so I was able to hire one of my best friends from high school, who we used to make videos together when we were teenagers, to write the scripts, because she's just as really good with grammar and writing, and we also had a fairly silly G-rated sense of humor. So I'm like, my friend Ashley Whalen, she would be perfect to write these.
Well, here, so I want to do a part 3 now because
we could go forever about this.
But we've gotten to the point now where we're bringing on new characters and stuff like that, and I think it'd be a good time to like give us a little cliffhanger for the next episode.
All right.
We got Ashley Whalen coming in, who I remember you working with on some of the own stuff in the future for like Weekend Warriors, which I would like to get into.
Yes.
Because you guys did some really hilarious stuff together.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're out here. We're talking to Sam Hanus. We're trying to do more of these. If you got anybody that wants to be on the cast, please come and talk to us. Talk to us in chat. We do these lives every time that we try to post these, do batch recordings. So tune in to us, and thanks for joining us on the Nerd Rat's Nest.
Rat's Nest, yeah.
And we'll see you guys here shortly, all right? I guess.
See ya.
And cut here.
All right.
Just end it every time. Like
Yeah, I know, because I watched that one the other day, and I was like, yeah, that was a pretty good end. All right, cool. All right, I also need to use the bathroom again. Jesus Christ.
This
is what happened last time.
I do too. I'll go upstairs.
I'll go in the back.
I think Hayes, do you need to use it, Sean?
No.
There's 3 bathrooms in this house.
There's going to be a 4th one here.
We got to establish a pee corner.
Yeah, thank you again, Beanzo, for being so supportive of our little podcast here in the channel. It is very cool. So yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, I think we need to figure out a way to schedule streams or something so there's like a heads up. We just kind of did this last minute just because Sam was going to happen to be in town. We didn't really plan on doing like 2 streams within the same week for the podcast, but we had to take advantage of Sam being in town because Sam now lives in Minnesota again. Thank you, yeah. I appreciate you saying that. It's a great podcast because we're kind of winging it and figuring it out. So, glad it's great.
Yeah. We got any
Beans
questions
says-
popping up?
No, just general, a little bit of chat here and there. And then Bunkbed said that I'm guessing he, she, they, them. I can't really tell by your...
Bunk bed, maybe they're a child. So youth?
Yeah, bunk bed coffin. I mean, I'm hoping it's not.
No, wait.
They are saying that they do grunge is their style of music, so that might be kind of a fun.
Oh,
thing
to do
for
like
music video
for a music video specific.
If we go,
I mean, and also too is I like hearing that because I'm curious how old this person is. Because is there a grunge movement that's because there's grunge out there, but is there like another like wave of like everybody?
Littleton?
Yeah, right. I mean, I know what's in Littleton,
Yeah.
like Face down there. I know we did that video. Was
Was
that? Remember? Was it on the? There's this band called Face. If you don't know about them, they're an a cappella group. We did some videos down in Littleton. I think we did 2 videos down there or something like that. Or no, we did that one shoot down there on the skate rink, and then
that was in Louisville or
Was that
Louisville.
Louisville?
Yeah, because we went to the famous bar that's like John Wayne themed or whatever.
Yeah, but it was the one that had like the antler chandelier and like a second floor in it that we filmed them on. The top
Yeah,
floor.
that was like some random like coffee
That
shop or
was
something that we
Louisville,
went
that's
into.
right.
Yeah,
Not
and then the
Littleton.
skating rink. We
Yeah.
shot both of those music videos in one night.
Yes. Yeah, we did. I remember, like, it was like we didn't even have to ask anybody because you could have full access to the entire town, including the skate rink, because no one was in the streets that day. So we just like walked out to the skate rink, no skates, and shot a whole music video because there was no one there. Ridiculous.
Yeah, we just asked the guy like, "Hey, can we use this?" And
He's
we're
like,
"Oh, yeah."
no one else is. Yeah, get out there.
That's great.
That's fine. I'll keep the lights on.
Yes, we are shooting on the Red, the main camera for the final. We're still using the terrible laptop setup right now until we figure out how to live stream properly.
Well, this is a lesson for anybody out there trying to do their own podcast. You don't have to have it perfect. Just get it going, and then you just adjust as needed for what you're trying to create.
Well, that was our thing. It was like we just kept talking about it.
Yeah.
Always putting it off. It was like, let's just keep it simple so it happens.
Exactly. And like literally, like you said last time, yeah, it took us a year to do it. Here we are. We finally pulled the trigger.
Yes.
Sam's just like sitting here like while we're talking.
Proud of you guys. Proud of you. No,
Proud
I do
of
it all day.
you.
Am I talking too much? Am I rambling too much?
No, you need to talk more, Sam. Talk more. Fuller.
Because the story never ends. It's like too long of a story for half-hour episodes. So I want to ask you guys stuff about your experience at VSUN because we were doing it at
let's
different
chat.
times.
Right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, like every 6 months, just have you back on. Like, where are we at?
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
Well, also too, is you being, I'd say like some that's had their hands in a lot of stuff since we've been around. You have like an echo of the same timeline as us.
Yeah.
So like you can kind of talk, and we could talk almost simultaneously what was happening through our entire career, trying to get to the point where we were at.
Yeah.
We're working from Doug Usher's stuff to then being the teams that get picked for 5314, which I want to talk about too as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, once Sean gets done, let's save the talk.
Cool.
All right, no more talking. Ready? Go.
Shh.
What's going on with the chat? I have to lean in front of Sam to read the chat because I'm old and my eyes are old. I should read the chat like an old man. Always a great podcast. Grandpa. Hey, and also too, behind us here, we are on location right now at a buddy of ours' house in Fort Collins. They happen to have some VHSs on site, so we did a little bit of set design back here. If you can even see what's back there, but that one right there in the middle on the top is Batman Forever. I don't know if any of you have heard or seen of this legendary Jim Carrey, Tommy Lee Jones film. But you could find a pretty awesome interview online with Jim Carrey talking about how much Tommy Lee Jones hated his guts. It's pretty good. He's like, yeah, I saw him in a restaurant and I made the mistake of going up and talking to him.
Oh, man.
And he goes, hey, Tom. And he like froze and got this like boiling look on his face.
I
And
hate Jim
and he
Carrey.
leans into him and he's like, I hate you.
Did you ever see that Andy Kaufman documentary about how Jim Carrey like didn't break character for like a long time?
I remember
they
watching
pissed
that.
him off, pissed the crew off really bad.
Yeah, and he's like doing shit like crashing a car, wearing a
Showing
bag
up
over his
wasted,
head. Yeah,
yeah.
Like ruining room tone because he's like, oh, what are you doing? You checking the sound? What are you doing?
yeah, just completely being, and he just like sunk into the character. Yeah, that was actually pretty good. I watched that. I think it's
I
called
liked it.
Andy and Jim. I think's the name of
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
It was
a
pretty
one.
good.
That was a good
I'm
one.
sure the people there were having a miserable time, but it made for such great production.
Yeah, I think I've seen it twice now.
It's so
I
good.
loved it.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch that again. All right, I think we're gonna roll on part 3 here. We'll just keep going on the story.
Is that longer than you expected?
No,
Yeah.
yeah, we're good. Let's hit it. Let's go into it. All right, everybody.
Rolling and actually remembering to put the mic
Beanzo
on.
even said no talking. No talking. Yeah. Just so you know, Sam, Nicholas Dean is Beanzo, and he's a buddy of mine I grew up with. Just shoot skate videos and stuff back in the day.
Cool.
And he's
Joplin homie.
Yeah, and he actually has a pod. He started a YouTube and he got super hot on it recently, and so he's supporting us through the same process.
Oh,
so
awesome!
He's been our
Congrats.
number one fan here. All right, so we're gonna go into part 3, y'all. So hang tight. Hey, what's up, everybody? We're on to part 3 with Sam Hanus here. We are just like deep in it with the history of how you got started, how we all started getting connected, and I just kind of like to get right into it. As a side note, follow us. We're doing these things. If you have anything you want to talk about or anybody you want to see on the cast, hit us up. All right, let's go right back into it. So we're bringing in new writers from school. Kind of fill us in like where we're at right now.
Through VSong, the educational language learning series, I was shooting a ton of content throughout 10 different units of language learning, and trying to find children to be a part of it was crazy. And then writing the scripts based off of the requirements to be in each of those segments. Finding locations to match those segments because they were really specific sometimes.
Very
right?
much so. Like we need to have the side of a swimming pool, and you're like, what?
Yeah, like one thing. Gosh,
With props.
like one of them was about like holidays, so we picked Halloween because it happened to be October, and the neighborhood we were in was all decked out. So we picked the craziest looking decked out house and shot a couple things in front of their house.
Now, did they propose a problem for the South Korean production house, like Halloween wasn't a thing or anything like that? Did anything weird like that happen?
No, we always sent in the scripts to be approved.
That's what it was.
Yeah,
I remember
so
that. We had
they-
to get
so they
scripts
knew.
approved.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, and I remember
Send us
they would
back.
change them so much.
Or like
Do you remember that?
Yeah, because you'd read it and be like, this doesn't even make English sense.
Yeah. So, gosh, and me and Ashley still talk about it too and make jokes about how she would write the script. Clearly, that's English. We all speak English. That's correct.
Yeah, we speak
But we'd
words.
send it in, and then they'd send it back with notes that were in broken English,
Yeah.
which is ironic. And then
that.
and then they would like re-edit our stuff anyway to the point where it was so different that Ashley's like, well, why are you even paying me if you're changing it anyway? So she's like, well, I'm gonna let them pay me, but this isn't what I wrote, but whatever. You know?
Well, and what it is we have a little bit of a different way that we do stuff over here, so we're trying
And
to
that's
figure
fine.
it out.
That's fine.
So
Yeah.
I think the hiccup that I noticed a lot was with that broken English, they were trying to teach a certain way, is what I got used to, and I was like, okay, so they're trying to teach like noun, verb, adjective in a certain way to express it that echoes the way like South Korean or just Korean is spoken. So
Yeah.
like it gets frustrating, like we're talking about, but like I just remember those moments of like, how am I gonna like not get mad at this? Okay, I gotta
Right.
remember that they're trying to teach. It's like teaching somebody Spanish how we say like the tall brown cow, and it's like the cow that's tall, that's brown.
Right.
They have to like teach it a certain way so then they can interpret it.
Right.
But it would be hilarious because you'd be like, oh, this is perfect, this is a great script, and then you'd come back, you're like, I don't even know if these kids are gonna be able to remember the lines because it'd be so
Because that's
broken.
not how you would say
Yeah.
that, which was interesting.
Yeah.
Like, one of them, for example, my friend Ashley and I would try to add some humor to it so it wasn't just completely dry.
Just stale.
And we were working with these two kids that were so funny. They were so funny and animated. And so one of them, like, the scene was the kids won a video contest and got to go to the local studio. And the kids go to the studio, meet the manager, and he goes, okay, let's take you on the tour. And one of the kid goes, aye aye, captain, just like as a cute little like,
Yeah.
okay. And one of their response, the VSong writers were like, do kids say like this? They were like, didn't get it. I'm like,
You're like,
oh,
yeah.
I guess they wouldn't get this.
Right? There might be a little bit of like because I know the English language, especially in America, we have like all these like sayings. Like if you were to be like, I don't like the cut of your jib, they'd be like, what does this mean?
Right.
And we're like, oh yeah, we
Well,
can't do any of that.
Another example of like just maybe if it was cultural confusion or something, because there was some of that, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, well, where can we meet in the middle?
Yeah.
Or maybe that doesn't make sense to you, but what you're saying doesn't make sense to us. And if you want this to be like accurate American
like
kids and the way they speak, then we need to find a place in the middle to do
ground.
that.
Yeah.
And one of the units was just like birthday party, and the vocab words were like gift, cake, candles, piñata, stuff like that. And so we wrote a little script about just like a kid goes to a birthday party. Now it's time to cut the cake. Now it's time to blow out the candles. It was like basic. And so we thought, okay, there's no room for confusion here. This is a birthday party.
Right.
These are normal things that happen at birthday parties. And
like-
then they thought our script was boring. And they said, needs more spice.
And you're like,
Spice?
yeah, right?
It's an 8-year-old's birthday party.
Yeah, right.
They opened a doll and then hit
It's
a
like
pinata.
a DJ.
Yeah. And then the stripper walks in.
Yeah, right? Got fireworks.
Got real spicy.
Yeah, got real spicy.
Needs more spice?
Looks
What
like-
are you talking about?
hot
This
sauce
is
on the
exactly
cake. I don't
what
know.
this is. Yeah.
That's pretty good. Oh man, and I mean with those kinds of moments too, I remember just like at some point you just quit fighting. You're like, I'm gonna send it in. They're gonna send me the script, and we're gonna be like,
Oh yeah, you don't
"Hey,
fight. Whatever you want.
I gotta
you know.
shoot 20 of these today, so like I ain't got
whatever
time to.
you wanna do.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, birthday party takes place in an aqua purifier. Whatever, dude. Let's go. I just remember too, and I don't know if this happened to you, but we brought it up on the previous cast. Is how we basically had to melt a kid's face, or Sean did, in order to get rid of acne.
Yeah, we didn't have like content aware Phil.
But he
and
was
stuff
like our
that we
best.
do
He was
today,
like one of
but-
our best actors.
Yeah.
And so you kind of had to like, and also too, the pays for the actors weren't very high either. So you couldn't just have like a plethora of actors, and then you just try to keep as many as you could on at a time. Did you have any like editing situations like that where you had to like basically change a human's face? Or anything like that?
No. Luckily, we didn't. One of the kids, they were like, no braces, absolutely no braces. But
we had
but
that
one
a
of
couple
our best
times.
kids was
Was it
Tomas Herrera's son,
Yes, Jack.
He had great braces, but he was such a good actor and spoke clearly that they made an exception for Jack because he was great.
I remember that too because I remember seeing Jack, and then years later, I actually ended up being like a supervisor at the Lyric when I was
Yeah.
working there, and being like, Jack, you know how you don't know me, but I've known you for like 30 years. I swear to God,
Yeah.
I've known you since you were this big on V song shorts wearing braces, being very well spoken.
Yeah.
And, hi, how's it going? I'm like,
Yeah,
wow, dude.
he was an exception because he was
Yeah.
exceptional.
Yeah,
So
there you go.
Yeah.
Well, there's a Jack Herrera out there. If anybody wants to find him and put him in your film, he'd
Yeah.
probably do pretty damn good. So.
yeah.
Yeah. So we're going through view song stuff, and these are all the hiccups that we had to do. Let's kind of talk about like what, like, we're on site. Yeah, we're talking about the shoots. We're talking about what it took to get these things taken care of. Let's talk about like what it took to get it to them with these different levels, and like how many we were having to get done in such a short amount of time. Like, what was our speed run here? Like, yeah, we're talking about all the dirty details, but like, let's also add in the element of like how fast we had to like there was like one takes sometimes, or like we'd do like full day shoots, and they might just trash the entire like 10 scripts and tell us to reshoot on that stuff. And let's kind of talk about like 30K might sound amazing, but when you're doing 1,600 shorts,
And between 4 of you guys plus editing,
like we're lucky that Sean had somewhere for us to stay, or we would have been like,
Yeah.
we're sleeping on the shore.
yeah,
We'll sleep on set, you know?
straight up.
Yeah, but like talking about that, like our sprints, going into that kind of stuff. What have we all kind of taken away from that being kind of the front end of us getting into this world, and to what steps and stuff like going into insight and things that need things done in a quick turnaround, and kind of like seeing what your stretching moments are of like not taking forever to shoot, being able to condense down your time to get things done, and be able to do things where like, you know, the films we talked about where we were just keeping every shot, learning how to kill your darlings a little bit.
Oh yeah.
So let's kind of go into that a little bit. Like, we've learned.
Yeah.
Now it's time to get the thing done and don't care like what we have to do to get there.
Yeah.
So what's our next steps here? Like,
I mean, like one of the biggest things I remember is we had the Magnolia document. I don't know if you had something similar to that, where it was like a online Google spreadsheet.
oh yeah, the
Remember that?
spreadsheet.
Oh,
yeah.
And it had every single like
Oh my god.
Like,
Yeah.
code
I forgot
for
we had to
about
put the
every
that.
code
short.
for the shorts. Yeah.
And then
forgot
they had
about
the
that.
ability to like go in and add notes in like every version. So like we had like this master document of every short film, and it would have to go through every iteration of versions and notes. And
Until
then,
it turned green.
and then it turned green, and then,
And
you
then we'd
move
know
on
it was
from
done.
Yeah.
Do
So
excellent.
like not only are we editing all of these 15, 20 a day,
Yeah.
sometimes we're doing 2 to 3, 4 versions
like
of
redo
each
them.
of those. Yeah.
Yeah, every time.
Yeah, just like, oh, it's too slow, or it went over because it was like wasn't it like a minute?
Yeah, there's a couple
our
cutoffs
max or something like that,
minute,
or like 45
30,
seconds
45
to a minute.
seconds. There's like depending on what they told
And
us.
so if it's slightly over that,
Yeah.
you have to figure out how to cut kids talking slowly on purpose, so it's already being dragged out. Like, how do you make that?
Speed it up a little
You
bit.
can't, because they want it slow, but it's also too long. So yeah, I remember the Magnolia document. That's what we called it, and it was just that
It's
was
just
like
massive.
Forgot about the Magnolia.
But, like,
yeah, there's a lot of restrictions within it.
For sure. And I mean, now a lot of us do commercial work to be able to get paid, travel a lot. Like Sean and I talked about in the last cast, is that we do a lot of traveling for certain gigs. And one thing that we work with is a certain company out of Florida that we all are kind of getting pick up on. And you've taken the lead on those projects. How do you see the transition from the V-Song stuff, and there is one in there, to doing things like this, knowing like where you've came from with that to where you're at now?
Yeah, doing stuff with V-Song was definitely a good training for Insight stuff. I feel like all I know is chaos, immediate. Everything seems to be like an emergency. And at this point, like I'm 10, 15 years into this career, I'm like, it's marketing. It's not like life or death. It's not an emergency, but
Marketing.
everybody that says it's an emergency. And luckily we've all gotten good at like, you have this much time to get this done. And so you just do the best you can. But we've gotten good at like running around like crazy, doing it as fast as you can, but
one
like
day.
still maintaining the quality.
It takes
like
a lot
every
to
single day
surprise
is a
us.
film race. Every
Yeah.
single shoot is a film race.
Yeah, and not even that exciting of a film race. You almost are like, okay, what was the formula we used for the last one? Let's repeat it, but then there's just a room, so we move the light 3 inches this way. We got the shot, go. Like, it's to that point now. But to get to that point in your career where you're feeling comfortable with that without getting jaded to then do the creative stuff on the side, that's also a balance in itself.
Yeah, so doing V-Song and having just those emergency shoots daily, I'm just used to the stress of that.
Yeah.
And then when you came out with the Weekend Warriors project, like the 48-hour weekend thing, I needed something creative to do to just break up the kind of corporate and slower stuff.
And that was the reason I created Weekend Warriors, because I
Yeah.
noticed that all of us were doing work and we're doing great work, but there was no excuse to do something creative. And
Right.
that's why it was like, hey, I know you're speed running like commercials that you don't really get excited about. Let's try to create a version of that for filmmaking.
Yeah, and it's so fun, and the best part of filmmaking is sharing your work sometimes too. I
Right.
mean, it's working together. It's super fun. Like I like what you said in the first episode you recorded, that like filmmaking is a team sport, and it totally is. And I kind of just accidentally fell into having multiple roles at once, and a lot of us do. Like I shoot and I edit and I coordinated this whole thing. But when you're able to delegate that, it helps so much. And then being able to show your films at the Lyric, the local movie theater owned by Ben Mosier,
Yeah.
and then having those festivals there where we all can meet each other and watch each other's work and talk about it afterwards, like that also is like a high that makes you want to do it again.
Right.
Just showing each other's stuff
Oh, and
to each other.
It's that I talked to Sean about this a previous cast too, is that vibe of the first, like you guys can sit around, we can make videos and watch them on TV at home, but that first time that you put it up on a big screen where people's eyes cannot look away, this is like
There's nothing else to look
they
at.
can't look at their
Dark
phones.
room.
Yeah.
Like I guess they could, but it'd be a jerk move. But like you get that and you're like, holy crap, like it changes everything.
Yeah.
So, at this point, because we've been talking, what kind of advice, just quickly, could you maybe give someone who is kind of at the front end of this, and from where you're looking back going, hey, what is just some advice that you might give someone who's so excited about doing something and you don't want them to get jaded or don't lose themselves in the creative process? What would you kind of throw at that person?
I would say join a team that is doing one of those film races to get your foot in the door, to see what it's like to have a limited amount of time, to be as creative as you can in like a day, and then going to that premiere and seeing your work. Like that was my idea to do this or that in the film, to put the light this way or to do this effect, and seeing how it gets a reaction. I guess just join a team and make something where you're able to screen it on a big screen. That, because watching it on your phone, watching it on YouTube is cool, but when you actually put it up on the big screen, it's a totally different feeling.
Yeah.
And it makes you, you see any mistakes and you're like, okay, I know what I would do next time. Now I want to do it again.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And to address the audience out there, I know where we're at. We can now get on and stream anything. And people's physical collections are dwindling to a point, and it's getting easier to be able to view things. But as creatives in the world, and please, join in, y'all. But in my opinion, you can't lose that. Like, you could try as much as you can to put us into a house with a lowered ceiling, but if you're in a room, you have undivided attention on a film, and we've all experienced it from films that we love, and I'm sure there's cats out there that see movies and they're not even filmmakers that they love. There's something about that room, and I'd almost want to put it to a vote here. Whenever you're a creative and you're putting up a film to show some folks, especially after you got a whole team and they're in that audience with you and they're all nervous too, and you have to represent that team on stage, what's more important in that moment? What is happening on the screen or what's happening in the audience? Like when you're viewing it for the first time to an audience, and this is the first time a massive audience has seen it, where are your eyes as a creative? Where are your eyes at? I know Sean's got an answer, but I want to ask Sam first. Wait, hold on. We got zoomies happening.
Like when you're showing your own work?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on just a second. Let's just make sure pups chill.
Oh, yeah. Their mom and dad might be home too.
That might be it. Do we want to just take a pause for a second?
We could.
Yeah, let's maybe take a pause.
Okay.
For a while. But keep that in mind, because
Yeah.
I want you guys to tell me that.
Yeah.
Because mom and pops are here. We'll probably have to be loud.
Yeah. Do you want to pause it?
Hey, everybody. We're going to take a little pause here. We got some activity going on, so it might interrupt our audio. We're going to check some notes here on the screen. Anybody got anything to say?
Yeah, Beans are calling out her.
Oh!
where he's located.
Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah, don't be dropping it. There's an underground bunker, and there's 15 different Joplins on the planet. So heads up on that. Yeah. Sorry, Beans. My bad. I gotta stop dropping knowledge. We're live. Yeah, so here we are, guys. This is episode 3. We're going to try to get a 4th one in and call it for today. But if you're just joining us, drop something in the chat. We're doing these things pretty regularly, and we would love to hear what you guys got to say.
We're going to try to do it, at least once a month.
Yeah.
But I think there's a way to schedule it, so it's always kind of like a notification on our page.
I think once we get...
Haven't figured it out yet.
Also, once we perfect the setting up process so we can be on time to certain things, that would be helpful too. That's what the podcast stuff, a lot of cats don't realize how complicated it can be.
We try to keep it simple so it actually happens. But yeah, sometimes
Popped them in the room, so it should be good.
Cool.
Okay.
All right, so I paused it. We're 11 minutes in on this one. More like 15 because I didn't start it till 4 minutes in, just so everybody knows. Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah, wait. Where were we at whenever we paused on that?
Said what's more important?
All right, I just want to make sure we're on the same page. Okay, what's more important? Here we go.
Rolling. Cool.
All right, take a seat.
So you were talking about where are your eyes when you're showing your film for the first time? I've seen the film 5 million times. I edited it, so I'm not really watching it. I am watching how the crowd is reacting to it, because you don't know if it's going to flop. You don't know if people are going to get a laugh or you kind of monitor the applause to see how it did, you know?
Right.
So I guess for me, the first couple of times that I showed something at the theater, I think it probably was the Weekend Warriors the first time. And then we ended up winning it. So I guess that went well. That's a really cool feeling.
And a lot of those,
we were not expecting that at all. We're like, there's so much talent in this town.
And also too, as a side note, with those Weekend Warrior things, it's an audience participation thing. So it's not just a bunch of judges making the call. It's the audience that day watching it with everybody else's films going, this was my favorite. Mm-hmm. So that to me has a little bit more of the marks of being in direct viewing competition.
Totally.
Competitions are there to basically give an excuse to do it, and I always like to repeat this. It's not necessarily who's the winner, because you guys can attest to it. It's getting in the room and everybody had to go through the same painstaking process of getting something done, that it's like a camaraderie thing at the end of it. We got through it, guys. We did it.
And I love that. It's not a competition. It's just we all did it, and we're celebrating that we all did something hard.
People are drinking together, and they're telling each other, oh man, I love that thing you did.
Yeah.
And there isn't this big judgmental cauldron of like
first, second, third place. It's not like that.
no. It's not like somebody sees your things like, I could have done that better, or that was all right. It's like, oh my God, dude, how'd you pull that off?
Right.
And that's the whole point of the conversation, is not to be better, but to be like, how can we work together? Because another thing I like to say and notice is it takes about 400 people to make a feature film these days.
Yeah.
And most people's scenes don't have 200 people. So for any scenes out there to be competing and fighting against each other, it doesn't make any sense. You guys need to come together to make a feature, or you're going to be fighting each other forever. Divide and conquer is literally a saying for a reason. So get together, work together, make films together.
Pool resources. Like, we have so much equipment in this town. It's ridiculous.
And it's from all of us like wanting to
Yeah.
come together and share too, because we all want to raise the awareness of filmmaking. Yeah. So anyways, the competition for the filmmaking. Where you are at now, Sam? What's going on right now? What happened yesterday? Where's you at? Where you at? Where's you at?
Yeah.
Where's you at?
Yeah, I guess it's actually coming up in February. It would be 9 years that I've been working for Insight. I mean, that's their like umbrella company, but the series is called Viewpoint with Dennis Quaid, and then there's another like sister series really similar. It's called Empowered with Meg Ryan, and so they're the celebrity hosts. It's a marketing program essentially. They're 5-minute mini documentaries about anything and anyone.
Yeah, and I think I would even go as far as to say is like innovative versions of things in industries, like the most innovative version of the guy making books, if you will.
The people that are sought out to be on the program are supposed to be, leaders in their industry or trying new things and highlighting whatever they're doing.
Cool.
So I've been like 90% of my work is through that at this point. I get 2 or 3 assignments a month, and a couple years in, I got promoted to be a field producer, working directly with the clients while still shooting and editing. And then I brought Sean in a couple years ago. Is it 3 years now? Almost?
Going on.
That's crazy.
3,
What is a clock anyway?
Yeah.
That's insane. And it's fun, but it's got its own set of challenges. It seemed glamorous to travel and everything and make films and travel. And that's always what I told myself I wanted to do. I didn't know what capacity, and somehow it manifested it.
Yeah.
Well, can you speak about maybe, and between the two of you, and I've been on these shoots with y'all, but you all been doing a lot more stuff. Tell me about some of the highlights. And I know you're talking about these, you guys go on a lot of shoots, so it might get a little like, repetitive. Let's just say that.
I've seen a lot of airports.
A lot of airports.
Sick.
Yeah, pretty tight. But like, is there any of these projects? I know like maybe 1 out of 10 or 1 out of 5 might be like a, holy cow, this is really cool.
Yeah.
Is there any of those that you can think of right now off the top of your head? That was pretty slick.
That was
just
cool subject
like
matter.
a cool subject, or one. Let's just play it both ways. Either a cool subject matter or a really video that you're really proud of because of the context of the video. Like,
yeah, I mean, everyone's probably sick of hearing about it now, but I did
One more time.
Yeah, one more time. One of the first couple of projects I had with this series was in British Columbia, and the producer I was working with at the time texted me one day, and he said, "Are you afraid of bears?" And I was like, I mean, I think by nature, yes, but I would assume that whatever you're about to say, there's a safety regulation or situation where we wouldn't get impacted by
actually,
them.
you get to ride a bear.
And he said, there's a story in British Columbia about a grizzly bear sanctuary where it's like nature viewing, and a lot of the money goes towards grizzly bear conservation because they're on the extinction list. And it was a fly-in destination into this hotel that was floating on barrels. And so we had to take 3 flights to get there. And we were there for like 4 days trying to capture grizzly bears. I flew into Vancouver first, and I didn't have a long lens. But they're like, what's your longest lens you have? And I'm like, it's like 105. It's not
very long.
Yeah.
Not long enough.
So I rented like a 200 to 400 millimeter lens, and even that was like, might not even be good enough, but that was like the most I could bring with me. Yeah. I had all my bags and luggage, and then just held that rental lens like outside by itself. I had nowhere to put it.
Little baby carrier.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and it was like, we were there, and it was raining a lot, so we were there for 3 days. It's all via boats, and these bear guides are driving the boats. They know where they live. They're monitoring where their cubs are, where their like little hibernation caves are, so they know where they are. We're boating for like an hour along this coast trying to find them. We barely saw anything for 3 days, and I was starting to feel really bad. Like, oh, they flew us all the way out here. It's probably really expensive. They're putting us up. And we got nothing. We got no footage of bears. And then one day it was raining. We're going in for lunch, ready to give up. And the clouds parted. And all of a sudden he's like, actually, hang on. And he kills the boat motor. And the sun came out right at the same time as these two like juvenile type bears are like going head to head, growling at each other, and just straight up like Nat Geo action. And I had my lens out. I had tears in my eyes. It was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen in my life. And I'm like, I don't even know if I'm in focus right now. I hope I am. Yeah, I literally can't tell. I think I'm recording. My eyes are blurry.
Focus,
And then the rest of that day, the sun was out and these bears were super active. And I got the coolest footage of my life. And
Is this that picture that I've seen where there's a bear on a rock?
This one right here?
Yeah,
it's still the background of my phone if you can see that.
Right. Yeah, then I've seen this picture various times because it's very.
I know.
It's like an existential like moment of like creativity.
It was a pivotal moment, and
like, I would have filmed.
I feel like this one particular shot alone has gotten me jobs. So it's all luck. Like that, I just have been in the documentary space for so long and with those time crunches, you just make things look as good as you can, and that is unplanned. You can't plan some of these shots. Like I didn't plan that the clouds parted and everything lined up. The boat swung just so, and it was like right in the center, and just so you chase that high of like getting lucky in documentary.
Yeah,
and that's so different than making films and being intentional and getting a crew together.
Mm-hmm.
Like. So it's been kind of fun, and so I try to get involved with creative film stuff to balance out the documentary stuff.
Yeah.
Because you kind of get stuck in one lane or the other.
And especially,
so I try to balance it out.
Yeah, especially if you're the crew you're in, you get stuck in that lane and stuff like that. But that's a good bridge into, like, you make music videos. We were just talking about that.
Yeah.
You've been doing that kind of stuff. Now, we talked about V-Song, we talked about Insight stuff, but like let's knock on the creative stuff. You've been doing videos probably as long as we've been doing videos in this town. Mm-hmm. And there's certain competitions that we're part of, certain bands that we've been doing stuff for years, and even like seeing the rotation of the music scene in Northern Colorado. So like kind of speak on that, like Wasteland Hops got you to this, and Doug Usher got us to like 5314. Let's get into that.
Yeah, like I said, Wasteland Hop, the one of their music videos, Motion Rollin', was my first music video, and we were winging it. There was a million locations. Looking back at it now, it's totally cringe, but I love it. It's so fun. We got a ton of people together. Had you guys helping out on it, and from there, we all had fun. The band liked it, and so they invited me to come on a tour with them one time up in Alaska. Mickey, who kind of started the band, got everyone together, is from there. And so he has a lot of connections there and knew venue owners and other musicians. And so they at least once a year for the past like 12 years go up there and tour. And so while we were up there one time, we were in this location in Talkeetna, Alaska, staying in this historic hotel that has a little stage that they always play. And there was a like clawfoot bathtub upstairs in like kind of the inn where we were all staying, and we all decided, what if we shot a music video in here about this one song called Bad Habits, about not brushing your teeth and just kind of being a scrub. And so we like filled up the bathtub with bubbles and had Mickey and Steph, the vocalists, get in there, and we kind of just started shooting a music video, and it turned out super fun. It was a great time. So then all of a sudden I had 2 music videos under my belt.
Real quick, I got a side note here because I remember you telling me this, and even Mickey had talked about it too, is Alaska shuts down for about 7 months or something like that, and then for like 3 or 4 months, it is just a party up there. So when you were up there in Alaska, like guys, this is Alaska, and you were going on tour, you got to probably see something that not a lot of people got to see when they go to Alaska, which is basically going on tour to go to parties. Can you just briefly talk about like what that was like up there?
Yeah, since Alaska is obviously super remote, kind of spendy just to get there, much less a place to stay. Like since Mickey's from there, we had places to stay everywhere we went, so that's how we keep the cost
for sure,
at least at bay. But it was definitely cool being with the crew, showing up to these towns and just adding some vibrancy to the music scene up there is fun too. They're really welcoming to outside bands coming in to provide some entertainment.
Yeah.
and then going to all these different towns. Definitely super, super fun.
And was it like, were they just like party animals? Was it like silent and you guys rolled in and it was like they saw the music coming and they're just like, the show's here. Like, is that kind of how it was? Like,
yeah, people definitely want to throw down. And then there are sometimes just maybe another event going on in town and it's just like a total no one showed up.
Oh, okay.
But
it's traditional stuff.
Yeah, there have been times, I've been up there like 3 or 4 times with them now, and sometime you're like, oh, I can't wait to go to this one town. Last time it was a ripping, roaring party, and then that time it was nobody was there. Like we drove 8 hours to this random town, and like no one was there.
Up. You're like,
yeah, but it happens.
That's all part of the game. But anyways,
happens.
back on track. Yeah, back to music videos for them. You guys made a couple there.
Yep. And then you want to talk about 5314? How that came about?
Yeah, and I mean, I know that you've done a lot of stuff, and I know that there's some time period between doing Wasteland stuff and doing 5314, but that's a good way for us to kind of talk about like what it's like to do videos here in Northern Colorado. So let's jam on that.
Yeah, I guess through Wasteland Hop and just having a little bit of experience making music videos, and then you guys were doing In the Shed right around the same time. Mm-hmm. You were doing them as well, live performances and creative like narrative music videos.
Yeah.
Invited you on that Aspen Hourglass shoot.
Oh yeah,
that
Aspen
also
Hourglass.
was one that like never got posted. It was never released.
We got a few of those.
I know you guys do.
Oh yeah. We can't pay him. Like, can we put it out? Crickets. Like, all right.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah.
That was so funny. Remember how we coordinated all those people to show up? It was supposed to be like a band playing in the backyard with younger versions of themselves. Like
that's right. Oh my god.
It's the younger version of themselves.
Like, let's cast that with no budget.
Perfect then like the lead singer was like, I gotta go. I have a guitar lesson I gotta get to. And we're like,
this is a
there's
music
like
video.
40 people here to be in your music video.
Yeah. What are you doing?
Yeah. He eventually he's like, no, you're right. Okay, I'm gonna cancel that.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes. Yeah. We're
This-
all here. He's like, I'll be back in like 2 hours.
You're like this.
No.
We won't. Yeah. So.
We're doing this for free.
Well, I think this warrants a part 4 at this point.
We already got to part
yeah.
4.
We're already
Sorry, we're yakking.
Yeah. So this was part 3, right? That we just did here. We're going on to part 4. This is perfect because we're now going to get into the creative stuff here in North Colorado, and what I want to talk to you mostly about is what you're doing creatively. So we're going to stop here. We're going to do another episode, and we're going to keep talking to Sam. Stay tuned. Like I said, we're doing these pretty regularly. We want to hear from you. We want to see you out here, and we're doing these live feeds pretty regularly while we're doing the batch recordings. So stay tuned, guys, and cut it here. All right.
We're kind of gonna get into like
Now
making films through the Weekend Warriors and 5314 and how it all combines.
I think the biggest thing to think about is taking that and stemming it into what we think the scene is now too. So let's put that out there.
like perspective of
The finale.
Yeah.
It all comes
Well,
together.
I gotta use the bathroom.
yeah.
I think Beanzo's off, but he's at work, so
Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense. Quit your job, Beanzo.
yeah. Thanks for joining. If you do actually end up coming back and watching the rest of this, if not, we'll see you in the actual cut. Oh no, my phone's about to die. We only have one person watching, and I'm pretty sure it's it's
Me.
you over there. Yeah.
Whatever.
It's just fine. Yeah. I do like the live aspect of it, though. It is kind of fun, and I can't wait for it to like get big enough where it is kind of a constant feed of people talking and asking us questions and doing like live Q&A episodes and stuff.
Yeah, sure.
Be a lot of fun.
Sure, totes.
Oh yeah.
All these outfit changes, but I like the part 1 through 4.
Yeah.
sort of thing.
Like, damn, I wish I wore like a button up.
Right? I'm just wearing this first, and here we are. And just because we're going to talk about here in a little bit, y'all, this shirt right here is going to have a significance too, which is great because this was the first before Weekend Warriors is Weekend Warriors. So
Name C.
That would have been so funny if I
Significance.
literally almost wore that.
we're just both wearing it.
Yeah.
And actually, we're promoting this ancient festival now, 2015, 10 years ago. Yeah, 10 years ago officially is when I started working at the Lyric.
What the fuck?
That's also kind of funny. I never actually did the Weekend Warriors thing.
No.
That's
like,
funny.
I asked. I was like, Sean, you're like, you'd be like, I would be on your team. Like, well,
yeah, and that was like my hiatus period. Which we'll talk about at some point.
Billy Madison, Batman Forever, Toys, Babe, Amadeus, 2 Minute a Baby. Anyways. Okay, part 4. Transition out of this into local scene stuff and be a nice little like button on where you're going and what you see for yourself in the future.
I realized that that light died like part of the way through the last one, but I don't think it really matters too much. I do like just a little bit of the hue in the corners.
Yeah,
nice.
it's cool.
Pops against the nice orange.
All right. Well,
I don't know why it's playing live, but it's not pulling up the
chat.
Le chat in the water.
All right, gang.
All right.
You guys ready? Going to part 4. It'll be our final episode for today.
What time is it?
It's 4 o'clock.
Oh, okay. It's not too
So if we started at 2, yeah, we've been doing like almost 3.5 hours usually for these, so that makes sense. Actually, it's only been like 2 hours, so we're doing pretty good today.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. It's probably closer to 2:30-ish once we actually finally sat
Right.
down and got going. But
Cool.
ready?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's hit it. All right. I never marked any of these today, so I'm gonna mark this one.
Yeah.
There we go.
I
That's a
also,
mark.
Set up the lab and I hasn't turned the lab on the whole time, but so like we have 1, 2, 3, 4.
Also, too, is that with this setup too, is not many people do this. They always have the mic and the headphones, like it's supposed to be a podcast. But like, why aren't they doing this? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I do like the
It does
sound
have
quality a little
does,
better, and it's like this mic wouldn't pick up you talking. These
Right.
are going to pick up kind of cross, but
So I can be able to hear like.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Anyways, cool. Let's get into it. Here we go. Hey everybody, welcome back. This is actually part 4 of our conversation with Sam Hanus here. This is Sam.
Hi.
Sean over here. I'm Jesse. Nerd Rat. We're at the Nerd Rat's Rat Nest. I keep wanting to call it Nerd Nest, which might be its own thing, I guess.
Maybe you should.
Maybe you should. Yeah, we're working on these. We're wanting to bring in cats to talk about filmmaking around the country, around the world. And specifically, we have a lot of connections here locally in northern Colorado, which is where we're located. And we like talking about movies and kind of our history. And what we've been doing over these first 3 parts is talking to Sam about where she's come from, how we know each other, and just kind of the same struggles over the last like 10, 15 years in our creative process. So,
Yeah.
thanks for tuning in, y'all. And let's keep going into it here.
Speaking of history of where we've all come from, we met in 2013. So at this point, that's the equivalent of going from kindergarten to senior year in high school.
Look
Can
at
you
us.
believe that?
Look at us.
We're K through 12 right
K
here.
through 12 right
It's
here.
crazy.
Fort Collins. And
It's crazy.
we're still not
That
local.
is kind of crazy.
Yeah, right? Right? Yeah, it is pretty crazy. I mean, geez, just thinking about like, remember whenever the 10-year mark rolled over for being here and you're like, well, let's keep going, I guess.
guess that's a
I guess,
decade.
that
Yeah.
was a decade here,
Right.
But looking back 10 years, or like looking back where you were and to here, do you guys think that you've changed
Crazy.
and grown tremendously?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Starting with that 7D that we shot everything on, the original 7D, and now it's like, we have
Right.
the red, and
Yeah.
we have, like the whole community.
Even
We've
in
done
just
so
gear.
much. Yeah.
And you're saying that your
Okay.
first camera was the 5D, right?
yeah, I'm so jealous
Wow.
of that. Yeah.
my first camera was the VHS only shoulder recorder. That then the first camera I actually bought was a GL2, and I still have it. So
Yeah.
Jesus, Maud, look at us now. It's like kids would laugh at you for shooting an SD like 280p or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. But yeah, right. But like where we're at in the conversation, y'all, is we've went through a little bit of the history where Sam's at, and now we're into the creative process after all the hard work that we have to put in. We all have to do commercial work to pay the bills, but the goal truly is to do fun stuff, things that we love to do. Nobody wants to get a job in the creative field, like, filming people's belt commercials. But if you got a belt commercial out there, we're hiring. We will film it for you. But let's be a little creative.
I actually do kind of like commercials, like 30-second ones.
There you go.
Like,
see?
I kind of like, you can be really creative in a short amount of time and make pretty good money. But none of us have ever done like a really big contract.
Right.
But you can have fun. Like, even with those cannabis ones.
Yeah, those cannabis ones, we did some pretty fun stuff with.
Yeah.
We might pop up maybe a quick thing there, but like we were able to be more creative with those.
Yeah, the cannabis commercials actually kept me afloat when all work canceled during the
COVID.
pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird enough.
Cannabis.
Yeah. Cannabis kept me afloat for like a year.
Honestly, 10 years ago, actually not 10 years ago, at this point it'd be like 12, 13, that wasn't a thing, making cannabis commercials.
Yeah, and creative ones. Like, and you kind of do whatever you want, like, kind of, without being like joking about stoners and stuff. Sure. It was like being creative in other ways.
Getting high, man. No, it was actually like marketing and doing like you would do any commercial for anything else and just making it a product. That's amazing.
Yep.
But that doesn't happen very often. A lot of times you kind of got to follow it. And in my opinion, how you can tell somebody is a really good creative is they can maneuver in any way. So like, say if you were to come on set with somebody and they were to just pull an audible, like literally the producer comes in and says, hey, we've got to take this out, put this in, change. And we've all experienced this. Like, we've got to change because the lawyer said we can't say this line. It always happens. A good person that is like what they do good in this world that we're doing is able to adjust on a dime, because it's not that much hard, like much further to like adjust like in any direction if you need to do something creative to come up with the idea. So a lot of times what I'm trying to get to is that in the commercial world, the creative process is coming up with the best way to get the thing done. And it doesn't necessarily reflect in the commercial, but it reflects in how you're dealing with your clientele. So there's still a creative process in that, except that one is behind the scenes and one's in front of it. Like, do you guys attest to that at all in this world that we're in?
Yeah, I mean, just this is kind of a side thing off of that, like just being on the fly and needing to adjust a lot. I mean, we wanted to talk about we're talking about weed stuff, but the creative.
Yeah, that would be its own episode. Because the story of that.
But that was like one of those where it was like constant like curveballs.
Like as soon as you got done shooting a shot, they're like, listen, we can't say that.
Well, that was it, because it's creative based, and it's like, well, we can't actually say this does this. You can only say it does it.
We're
for
trying
you,
to promote a product that is not federally recognized,
not FDA,
and you can't make any claims about it. Yet we're trying to convince people that it's good, but you can't say that.
Yeah.
Anyway, that would be seriously its own episode too.
But that's like
talk about a creative being creative in order just to make sure that the thing exists. Like,
I can't believe we got out of that.
There's so many levels of this creative process that we're in. Like, to be creative doesn't mean that you're making Scorsese things half the time. Half the time it's just like, how quick can you get something adjusted to make it match in with the other 90% of the things that you're shooting for the day. Mm-hmm. It happens all the time. And that transition into that whole process of being able to get those things done in a timely manner, do you think the commercial work that you do helps make you a better creative in the creative world? And in what aspects? Is it the writing? Is it getting things done in a timely manner? Like, what do you guys feel about it? Sam, I'd propose that to you first.
Yeah, I guess on site during the viewpoint shoots, again, we show up to these cities and we're working with a company where we have to encapsulate like the entire mission and spirit of this whole company in like 6 hours. And we've never been there.
You're almost
before.
Like first time hearing
sight unseen. Yeah.
Well, especially for me, like it is. Sometimes we arrive on location like, wait, what's the business?
Where are we going? Yeah. What do they do?
Because Sam like writes the scripts and like talks to the clients, and I just show up and I'm like, what are we shooting today?
Yeah. But like, inside or outside? Yeah.
That's also a safety in knowing that you can complete something no matter what it is. Like, what are we doing? Okay, I got it. Now I know how to adjust for it. That's, I think, a sign of this. But anyways.
Yeah, I mean, it's just good exercise, I think, because I just unintentionally ended up in documentary and commercial. I don't have a ton of experience like writing a script and specifically planning for this or that. The only like narrative type of work that I've done is through film races and just for fun. Again, amazing exercises in that, which does help like, okay, well, we have to submit this on Sunday and it's Saturday and this isn't going to work. Like whatever we had wanted to do isn't going to work. So you just have to pivot and think of new things on the fly.
Well, speaking of pivoting then it makes me ask the question, how do you see your future now? Now that you've done all this commercial work and how much narrative work comparatively, there's two paths here. One, the money you could make, great. But then the creative path where you just want to make creative stuff, but like where are you going now? Where's Sam going?
I would like to, I've always wanted to make a feature film, make a feature documentary, and potentially work on a series. I would prefer comedy. I'm more of a lighthearted. I like comedy. So any one of those things, basically whichever shows up first. I got my ears to the ground, but still working on like just financially securing like income in order to work on creative things. Okay. So I want to make a feature of this and that. I'm waiting. I kind of still, living life to collect experiences to have a story to tell. I kind of just feel like I don't have a story to tell yet.
Well, we're all getting to the point that you and I, and even if this cast that we're doing, like we all have enough life experience where we could just talk and talk and talk and talk. I think that qualifies a little bit. You can get
sure.
to it. Yeah. So with that being said, if you were handed the money that you needed to make something, and I'm not saying for you to like you don't break down what you want to necessarily make, but like, what is the one thing that you need to add to your arsenal, even like if it's another human or another skill, that would be helpful for you to take that next step?
Going back again to what you said about filmmaking as a team sport, I've been doing stuff alone forever, and I'm capable. There's a lot of freedom, but limitations in doing things by yourself. But I can't make a feature or a series by myself. Yeah. I need to find somebody who's on the same page and who wants to do that too, wants to dedicate all that time to do that too. Because you can get people to make films with you for free. Sometimes if you're lucky, and your two friends want to dedicate their whole weekend to working with you, then that's awesome.
Yeah.
Did you say 2 friends or 200 friends?
Yeah, 200,000 people could be a part of this.
Right.
All the stuff I want to do, I picture like big group scenes, and I'm like, I can't do that for free.
Right.
Or I can't like take their time for free or something.
Or
like that,
you got to figure out what the maneuver is on it.
Yeah.
Know? So it sounds like to me that the biggest delay in the process is like, if you had the money, it's getting the crew that you need. So like if you had the crew you needed and you had the people in position and the money, is it the script? Is it you wouldn't want to direct? Like what would you do in that process? Would you be the producer? Would you star in it? What would be your role on set of this beautiful film that you want to make?
Yeah, I think delegating producer is good. I feel like I would like to be. I mean, I love shooting and editing and directing, and it's like almost hard to step back from those things if you want to.
But if you had
fully make it yours,
if you had your fingers in it, you're almost like in an extreme situation because nobody wants this, but you were puppeteering the whole thing.
Yeah, I would like to direct something.
You direct.
Yeah, and then like delegate you to shooting and editing too, even. But like.
And bring me coffee, driving the truck, flying the plane.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, I would like to be in a director position for like a comedy.
Cool.
Yeah.
For like a comedy. Now
that would be a lot of fun.
As like a side note, I know the answer to this. What kind of comedy? And give me a director.
I love mockumentaries.
Yes, you do.
And one of my favorite directors is Christopher Guest.
Christopher Guest. I knew it.
Best in Show, A Mighty Wind.
I just got a copy of Mighty Wind recently.
Oh,
and I was like, I forgot about this movie.
Oh my gosh.
So good.
Yeah, I love that he uses similar cast, like the same cast throughout his films. And I just am really a huge fan of the super, super dry
It's the dry humor, right?
Yeah.
Now, just kind of elaborate just a little bit. Don't go too much detail, but like, why is that so appealing as opposed to, let's say, like some kind of slapstick, like Always Sunny, or doing like, I don't know, like an animated comedy? Like, why the Christopher Guest vein? Like, what is it?
Maybe because it combines documentary and like real life stuff.
And you think you could like do this?
And like, yeah.
But do you think
capturing real life and making it kind of a joke?
So then that begs the question: Were you a fan of this style of filmmaking with Christopher Guest before you were doing similar stuff yourself?
Oh yeah, yep.
Oh, so it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Before The Office came out, before that got really popular.
Wow.
Yeah, like Best in Show was like one of my favorite movies.
That's confusing because not everybody is like kind of in the vein they want to go down. Like some people are like, I want to make Star Wars, and they're like shooting commercials for Dellenbach. But you're like, I'm kind of in the vein, and if I just kind of like, if I were to make a parody of the things I do, then I'm doing a guest.
Me and Ashley did a little mockumentary for one of my college projects,
Yeah.
like as being roommates together.
Oh,
It was great.
Yeah,
Did I show it to you?
Yeah.
Oh, it's trash.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about that. I think at one point we had a conversation about like we should have like a film night where we all just show stuff that we're like
Our cringy,
ancient, cringy.
We should still do that.
I think
Yeah.
it's. I think
would
it's in the
love that.
stars.
Well, once we figure out the whole live streaming thing, we could easily launch it
Yeah,
and just
cut
do
to
like
the
a group
clips.
watch.
Right,
Yeah.
just
That
like, or
would be
just
so
like have
fun.
it feeding while we're just all sitting there being like we just
Yeah.
like you guys are allowed to talk during the film, so we can be like, oh my god, what is that? They filmed
This
this. on.
sucks. Yeah.
The wind is the star.
Wind is the main character.
Yeah, he's got a lot to say. Cool. Yeah. So, and kind of leaning into that, doing these commercials, your favorite kind of films and stuff like that. We all have done creative stuff together. We have done music videos, and we haven't fully touched on 5314. So let's talk about it. We've talked about these competitions that I've actually put on personally with the 48-Hour Film Festival Weekend Warriors. And I don't want to say it. I want you to say it. Like, why are we kind of like legacies within that to a point, like because of the timeline? And why do you think 5314 was able to come into existence? And
It seems like Doug Usher started it,
There we go,
right?
yeah.
And maybe to have a parallel event, not a competition, a parallel event to 48-Hour Weekend Warriors and things like that, but to incorporate music too, which like doing the 48s and the film races is an awesome way to meet other filmmakers. And then their friends who have connections with locations and stuff. Again, I always go back to locations. As far as filmmaking in Fort Collins goes, I feel like it's easy to make films here because there isn't like a Hollywood level filmmaking scene, but such a local one where so many people know each other.
Yeah.
That I know someone who owns a movie theater. I know someone who owns this grocery store. Like, how many of us have filmed in Beaver's Market like a million times?
Well, I know you definitely
I have. God, I need to stop. I swear that's my last one last year.
When she goes in, they just give her employee. Like, Sam's here to work.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they laminated me.
right.
Once you shoot 5 films in there, you get a laminated card.
I never filmed in there, but Marty and I, way back in the day, we wrote a feature film, and we had a whole scene that kicks off the entirety of the movie that happens in Beavers, because we figured we could probably shoot there.
Right?
Well, we never
Well,
did.
Sam
but
does all the time.
Yes. I'm gonna shoot there tonight.
Yeah. I'm there right now.
in high school, we wrote like
We should do a podcast in Beavers. Just set it up in the produce department. Like, oh, we're good. They're like, all right.
Yeah, they know us by name by this point.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of having like a scene like this that you're growing into, is being able to utilize locations and stuff like that. Where we're growing as a scene too, and I kind of want to ask you about this because this applies to our local scene. Some of the stuff we want to do creatively as like a bigger community. Do you see what's happening? What have you seen change since you've been here? Do you see a future for us being a hub for this? Like, what's your opinion on this stuff?
I feel like in the past 10 years, through Weekend Warriors, through 5314, it's invited a lot of talent that maybe you didn't know was in town, and seeing how kind of deep it is, how many people are involved with creative stuff. And it kind of seems like a lot of people have their own little crews that they tend to work with. But having events like 5314 gets us all in the same room, showing each other's work, asking each other how they got this and that shot. And it's been a really cool thing for everyone to say, well, if you ever want to borrow that, just hit me up. Or if you ever need help on one of your shoots, I'm available. And it's been so cool, like the coolest collaboration I've ever seen. And you guys and myself are the only 2 teams that have done it for 7 years in a row. And
It's 7, yeah. We're going on to 8.
date would be this summer.
That's-
oh my
holy
gosh.
cow.
Isn't that crazy?
But it's funny that we've never worked together on one. It's always been
It's always been
separate
Yeah.
well,
teams.
Sam's team and
It's not a
Sean and Jesse's
competition.
team.
Not a competition.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, but like, and even speaking upon that, because we haven't been into many details, let's just kind of like briefly go over the 5314 setup. So, Doug Usher puts it on, which we've mentioned a few times. We'll probably bring him onto the cast at some point.
Along with like the music district and like a local radio station.
KRFC. There's Bohemian Foundations behind it. So we've got quite a bit of support out here in our community doing this stuff because it originally from like even the early 90s, this community was a music community. It became this massive hub for music. Things like the Lumineers are from here, and I mean, for anybody else out there that likes electronic music, like Pitcher Plane was doing shows, and he's huge in New York. There's a lot of stuff that's happened here, which then leads to there being a community growth and a lot of people moving here. And then the secondary version of that, because we have a music district out here, is there's now enough production houses out here that we can do music videos. And I don't know if you guys have heard this. I've heard it through the grapevine, but us in Northern Colorado, we've become part of the state that makes music videos. When someone says you're from Northern Colorado as a creative and they're from a different part of the state, they go, oh, that's where the music videos come from and stuff like that. So
cool.
there is a decent respect for the fact that we are doing this up here.
Hell yeah.
It gives us like a little bit of our own thing that we do.
Yeah, a little niche.
That we do because we need that. We're not here just to make music videos. It's just that it's so convenient because we have Foco MX every year, and we had New West Fest for a while too, and there's all these competitions for that, and there's so many new musicians every single day moving here. The music videos are just in our world, but to kind of like bring that in a little bit, and what we've talked about over the last couple episodes, I want to hear this from both of you. What is the future for Northern Colorado film? What do you see, Sam?
Having events like HIF, 5314, Foco MX, and then a place like the Lyric to show them all, I think it attracts other people. Like they show up and say, I've never heard of 5314. That was awesome. I want to do it next year. And it's gaining attention for other filmmakers and creatives to be involved in kind of just a lighthearted, free kind of way.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to pay to play. You just kind of submit your work and see where you kind of fit in the scene and build crews or jump on other ones. And also, I guess, as far as like the evolution of the film scene in Northern Colorado, we're watching it happen at the same time as the accessibility of equipment is getting better. And so I feel like, more people are picking up cameras because they know someone who has this or that. Or like you guys, you can rent your Red, you can rent from Steve Roberts. It's becoming easier to make films. Or just more accessible, rather. Making films is hard, but and having a place to show them is what keeps the momentum going.
Yeah, and like we kind of have like a local thing too, because everybody kind of has like their equipment and might have certain things that each other don't have. Is like if it's for creative, we let you just use it, and if it's for commercial, that's when we rent it out, kind of thing. And so it's a really cool way. It's like, oh man, I know so-and-so has this. That'd be great for this shot that we need in our short film. You just hit them up and like, oh yeah, I'm not using it that weekend. You can just use it. But then it's like, if you're making a little money off of it.
Can we, pay it forward?
Yeah, but and then no one like gouges you for those rentals too. Like, you get some pretty awesome equipment for like nothing. But it's just like showing that you're a little appreciation, like you're getting a little work. We'll give you a little bit as a thank you kind of thing. But I love that aspect a lot of our filmmakers. It's like, yeah, you're doing something fun that we know it's probably there's no budget and we don't want to like screw your project. Right. Let's get your project made. Here's the equipment you need. And I think that's one of my favorite things. Well,
why do you?
It's a really supportive community.
Yeah.
Why do you think our community is so open to this? Is there something that's happened? Is there something this community has that like embraces that? Like, why do we think that we operate the way we do? What makes it, and also what makes us a little bit unique in that operation?
Again, my theory of locations being a huge part of it. Like, you can walk into almost any place in my experience and from what I've heard too, and to say, hey, can we, through the V-Song stuff, hey, can we film in your store? We're doing a thing. And they're like, oh, really? That's cool. Yeah, come on in. And so having a variety of looks really sets us apart, I think, from like, you know, when we were all in college, we're all shooting in each other's like shitty apartments.
Yeah.
So it's like
a dorm room that just looks a little different.
Yeah, and then we all looked so young, and it's just like not really believable, or it's just like, oh, clearly it's a student project, but it just looks more legit when you are like actually in a store, in a grocery store, in a movie theater.
Well, with that being said too, and you point out like the age thing, does it feel like you also have access to a lot of actors and stuff too to kind of help create that illusion in this area?
Yeah, through V-Song, and then also things like Wednesday blew the door open of like, hey, this person has kids, they like to act, and they have a grandpa, and so you have like all age ranges in this town who are willing to be a part of it. And I think it just comes down to making movies is fun.
Right.
And I feel like anytime, I mean, you've seen it when you're out on the street and you have your mic and your lights and your camera set up, people stop and they look. It's cool to see, and a lot of people want to be a part of it. Yeah. People, even if you're not involved.
Yeah.
And suddenly they are.
Yeah, right.
I feel like just Colorado, at least our area of Colorado, is just like so low key and chill too, that like, sure, we kind of like the competition between other filmmakers, but everybody just wants films to be made.
That's really an excuse to make films.
Yeah, but like I mean, obviously haven't gone out to LA, but I'd be hard pressed to find that same kind of thing. Like hit up another company and be like, hey, can we borrow your
that
Canon?
I can already tell you that's
your red camera,
money,
you know, like that kind of thing. But like around here, it's just like like we trust you. We know that you're not gonna like break it.
Yeah, we all have mutual friends.
Yeah, and it's just like
we know where you live.
Yeah, exactly.
And we're filming at your house.
And I think like part of that is like that camaraderie with like 5314 and stuff like that, like has kind of solidified that love of just getting projects done and wanting each other to succeed in our things. And I think without that, it wouldn't be as strong. But it's always been there. Like we've always kind of had that feeling of like, hey, we're trying to do something and we make it work. But I think especially over the last 7 years, it's really grown tighter.
It does.
Where that like now we have people with Reds and Aries and stuff, and they're like, yeah, just take my camera and like shoot something, or take these know, thousands of dollar lenses and shoot something, and it's not a big deal. And I love that.
Yeah, I think there's a spirit here too. Like, why Northern Colorado? What do you think about the film scene? We are all transplants, and there's like a spirit here in Northern Colorado where people are here on purpose. People came here maybe not to escape, but just people want to be here, and so everyone's just a little bit excited to be involved in anything creative because they chose to be here, like getting out of where they came from. And we're all here for the same reason, because it's awesome. Right. Like just the geography, the weather. It's easy to shoot outside, even in the winter sometimes. And I think that adds a lot to it too.
Do you think that this town, also this area, has a higher respect for creatives than some other places that might like be ran by, say, a big corporation factory or something like that? Like, is that the essence I'm speaking of, or is there something else that I'm not like pointing out?
It seems like it, and I think it's because of a lot of the business owners have chosen to have a stage in their facility, like in their coffee shop or their venue or whatever. Yeah, like the infrastructure to allow creativity is here because the business owners support it.
Well, a huge part of that is Pat Stryker too, just like throwing a festival for free. For just like a decade straight for 3 days. Right. And like just bringing in huge acts, but also like mostly local to Fort Collins, not Denver, to Fort Collins. You know, we had like Earth, Wind, and Fire play and War. And
like, like you're saying, like playing alongside local talent.
Yeah.
Too, so it doesn't feel like, okay, this is your stage and this is their stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Wasteland Hop got to play on the main stage, and later that night, Earth, Wind, and Fire played.
Which is
might have not been that year, but you know what I mean. They played on the main stage.
Little John, whatever. You know.
So I think that was a huge. Like I'm actually kind of bummed that it's no longer a thing, but
I have a feeling because it was such a huge thing that something's going to come along to be a replacement of it of some kind. I don't know what it is. I have no idea. I know
Filco MX is kind of that, but that's a pay-to-play thing.
But it's also like a spring thing. We need that spring thing and the fall thing. We'll figure it out. So, but that also leads into like my next big question that I'd like to ask both of you is,
will you marry me?
Yeah. I've been thinking about this. I've been contemplating it. Yeah. Here's my finger in marriage. I don't think that's how it works, Jesse. The biggest thing that I think that I'd like to get on everybody's opinion on, and I'm going to ask this every time, is as in the the image that we are creating and where you want to be. What is the next 5 to 10 years in a perfect setup look like?
1 to 2 lines.
Yeah.
Bullet point.
Bullet point, right? And it'll be on your permanent record. But like an idea of like what does it mean for us to progress to a certain level that is how you feel we should be in Northern Colorado. Are we Hollywood in 10 years? Are we this massive hub that is become like a beacon like Austin? Or is this gone and we've all moved somewhere else? Like, where do you see it, Sam? What do you think? Or where would you like to see it?
I think it would be a huge step up if we could have like a soundstage in town. That would help a ton because everything else would be on location stuff, which is totally doable. I think a soundstage would be, and we've been talking about that forever. Everyone has. That would be a huge help.
And is it because that would bring in work for us here?
Yeah, and just stay away from because Fort Collins is a little quieter than Denver.
Yeah,
it would probably be just a little more relaxing to make a film up here than a busy big city.
Do you believe that some of the things we're missing in order to get us to that level is like sound stages and things like that to do where we can compete against places like Denver? Like, is that why you think that's the case?
Yeah, because I think if you're talking, you want outside films or like Hollywood producers looking at Fort Collins to hire crew, they would only, if we don't have a soundstage, then what they're looking for is something specifically like
we need
like a building that they're looking for, a look they're looking for.
Got it.
Other than that, continuing to do these festivals and showcasing all the talent, like 5314, there's 70 new music videos in the world in the past 7 years, and that is so cool. So even just being recognized for that is an accomplishment and something that we can all be proud of.
Cool. Sweet. What about you, Sean? What do you think? What's the next 10 years like perfection for you?
Yeah, I mean, very similar, because I mean, a lot of stuff we want to shoot and stuff kind of requires, green screen and a lot of that kind of stuff. But I do also think that because we are kind of centralized in the U.S. for the most part, we can bring a lot of people. Like, if someone wants to shoot something in Hollywood that lives on the East Coast, that's a pretty big haul, but it's not as big to get to Denver or Fort Collins. But yeah, I definitely think that we could definitely become like a hub that starts making feature films and like getting stuff out there, bigger projects. Like, there's so many awesome small projects being made, but I think in the next 5-10 years we're going to start seeing more features and like full-length documentaries, which I know a few people have already been doing that, which we should definitely get like people like Jamal and stuff on here.
Oh yeah,
doing, like,
definitely
some
Jamal
cool documentaries and stuff right now. But yeah, I think we're like kind of on that cusp of like starting to make these bigger projects. That's what I see in the future, is everybody coming together, hopefully, coming together, not just doing their own thing, but us as a community putting out awesome content. I had a better way to say that in my head, and it just kind of pittered out, but
that made sense. It made sense. In my opinion, there are a couple elements that we're missing in order to get us to the level that we need to be. But I think that with the people that we have here locally and everybody that's out there supporting us, there is potential for it. And yes, soundstage is important. I think that there's one thing that we have here, and it's something I noticed from moving from out of an area where there wasn't this kind of support, is that without even trying, this town does a good job of helping each other out, patting each other on the back and stuff. There just needs to be someone or an entity that kind of forces us into the same room to work together. Because when we all work together with the 5314s or the 48-hour competitions like Weekend Warriors, or even with Horsetooth Fest, a reason to do something at the end of the year, it causes there to be a camaraderie. And I've said this already probably 3 times between the last couple episodes is it takes a village to make a film. Heck, at this point, a small city, and you take about 400 people to make a feature in Hollywood. So I could probably count 100 people right now that are working their butts off just in Colorado, period. So like doing the stuff that we have in our own community where we're working together and supporting each other and taking this like in exclusiveness out of this process we have been able to do through us just showing that there's no need for it. I think that's what makes us unique. And if we're going to grow to the point that we're going to grow, cats like us, and especially people like Sam who's out there like putting a beacon out there, and there's rumors that you might be in another state soon enough to be able to be another beacon for us. It's only going to extend this network for the Northern Colorado scene, and that's important for all of us. So don't go out there. Don't be mad that a homie left this area to go do it somewhere else. Think of it as a fishing line being thrown out, or like a line being drawn back on the map. We can grow to a point, and people like Sam, people like Sean, people like the Hudsons and the Doug Ushers that we spoke about, Steve Roberts, we're making it happen. So work together. So last thing for today's episode, to soften the dramatic effect here, Sam, you've told me your favorite director, your favorite style of movies, which is like that kind of dry comedy. And I'm going to take that person off the table. They're gone now. Can't use them. If there was another director that you would work with, or even another, like a favorite film that you wish you were on that wasn't a Christopher Guest style of film, just because I want you to give me an odd answer, what would it be?
Another director?
Director or film that you would like that's not necessarily dry humored or something like that. Something that might not be totally...
Something not in comedy?
Yeah, not in comedy. Throw it at me. What you got?
I mean, it's so, like, obvious. I have a big soft spot for Kill Bill, so some Tarantino stuff is pretty fun, you know.
Is it the blood that you want to film? Is it the fight scenes you want to film?
I guess it's, like, the creative, almost funny edits within fight scenes.
Right.
Yeah. Kill Bill was so fun for me when that first came out, and I guess that's my example.
That's
your
example.
Yeah.
So if it's not Christopher Guest like super dry humor, it's extreme blood, but still comedy. There's still comedy in there.
Yeah,
you can't get away from the comedy.
Yeah,
can't take you away from it.
I also like Taika Waititi quite a bit.
I
like his work too.
He's
also more on the comedy side. Just can't get away from it.
You can't get away from it, but that's good. We know who you are.
Yeah.
It's got to be comedy.
We get it. Yeah.
We get it. You're hilarious. Sam is pretty funny though, guys. If you ever get a conversation. Well, okay, I think it's this good little wrap up. We've been talking with Sam for this whole thing. We're gonna put up pictures. If you're watching us on the live stream, we're gonna show a bunch of this stuff in our actual episodes. But make sure you like, subscribe. If there's somebody you want to see on the cast, if you got questions for Sam outside of this to give us an excuse to bring her back on for a future shoot, this is a growing thing for all of us. Be part of it,
Yeah. Well, we're going to try to put these out. Hopefully every Tuesday is the schedule.
Tuesdays.
So yeah, check back Tuesdays, and I think we'll just cut there.
Yeah, let's cut. There you go. Okay, well that was 4 parts, Sam. You forget about it? Is there anything you didn't say that you wanted to say?
Oh yeah, there was a million things, but we'll get to it next time. You guys now have like 6 months worth of content. That's great.
Right?
Good for you.
We do, right? It's like,
sorry if I was talking too much. I'm just yakking away. And not even done.
The thing about these podcasts, and the reason we even started, is because we would get into these 2.5 hour conversations and be like, well, we should have recorded that, because I'm sure someone would have nerded out on it.
Yeah, well, that's awesome, because whoever you bring on it again is going to same thing. Like, I could go on forever and ever about my experience.
Well, yeah, I'm not asking you about like how to raise farm animals. I'm like, what is your life and why is film cool? And you're like, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, and everyone's got their own unique stuff. And gosh, this town has so many different people that.
Not sure jumped in.
Hey, there she is.
Tina.
That's Tina. Tina's not sure.
Yeah.
So we were watching Idiocracy the other day, and she's like, "What's not sure from?" And I'm like, "I'm not sure." And then she's like, "It's from Idiocracy." So she got me. Let's see here. You guys make great music videos. The community here is strong, and the people often give them credit for. Not sure about the industry, but elsewhere people are more competitive than team players. It's in the water. That's what it is here. She's basically supporting it. So yeah, hey y'all, we're out here trying to do creative stuff. Just stay tuned. We love this. We love our world. We love bringing in creatives like Sam, who you're going to see a lot more on our channel, and hopefully we can do some stuff. But with that being said, we're going to end this live stream for today. Thanks for being here. I'm going to do it while Sean's in the bathroom, so he thinks we're still on it whenever he comes out. All right, guys. Take care. We'll see you soon.